feel I'm supposed I could taste sweet victory. I know this life meant for me.
Adam, what's your point? The future looks bright.
My handshake is better than anything I ever signed. Right here.
You are a one-of-one?
My son's right about
I don't think I've ever said this before.
You know what's the great thing about being around Tom is if you're around Tom, your English is going to get better, whether you like it or not. I learned a new word today.
And your math.
Caboose.
Caboose.
Okay?
Your
Vinny,
math.
I want to come to you first.
Yeah.
So when you think about it, what is 12 times 2,000?
I can't.
Tom, please don't ask me another math. No, I won't. But listen, 33%
With
of 7,248.
and the square root.
Yeah. But what he's doing is he's challenging you to get better in math.
I love him.
Folks,
How old will you be 1 year from now?
Yeah. So check this out. Diddy's got some interesting things going on, but there's I don't know. I got a different opinion on what I think is going to end up happening. But there's some very weird stories that have come out so far. We're definitely going to be talking about that. Gavin Newsom, again, California. We may go with the story first. I don't know. We may, but hang tight. California, man. I mean, earmuffs, Californians. You know we love you. We have a surprise for you here soon. For those, we have a surprise for people from California, New York, Texas, and Florida. It's a big surprise. Some of the other states, you're not going to be happy, but we'll tell you why that is. Stay tuned. But Californians, you know how much we love you. We always want to make sure you're aware. California approves a 17% rate increase for State Farm. They approve a 17% rate increase, and that's just one area. Wait till you hear what it looks like
for renters.
In a complete different area for renters, okay? And we'll go there here in a second as well. Lots going on with California. Ben & Jerry's co-founder was not happy. He was dragged out of RFK Jr.'s hearing after wild outburst. He screamed so loud that even RFK jumped. I mean, you have to see the reaction.
Wow,
Did
crazy,
you see that jump?
yeah.
Like, wait a minute. I don't blame him. I mean, you know, when you suddenly thinking something's going to happen, anybody would react that way.
Yep.
Multiple Democrats and Republicans fall asleep in the middle of the congressional hearing. I mean, some people see that as a problem, but you got to catch up on your nap time. I mean, sometimes, you know, you haven't slept all day.
Well, if they're asleep, they can't do harm.
Yeah. Trump inks $142 billion arms deal with Saudi Arabia, part of the $600 billion investment package. Trump slams neocons and interventionists during the Riyadh speech. We'll play that clip. And not only that, it was almost a competition of who was going to do more for the president, Saudi or Qatar. There's a scene where he's sitting there with the leader of Qatar saying, you know, I was just with my other friend from Saudi Arabia. You guys remind me of each other a lot. Both of you guys are tall, handsome, strong. And it's so interesting how he's communicating with all these world leaders. S&P 500. This news, many of the mainstream media folks are not going to be happy. S&P 500 wipes out 2025 losses as stocks extend rally. Assisted dying bill is moving forward, according to Politico. Very weird. Newsom wants to end healthcare, free healthcare coverage for undocumented adults in California. Let me read that again. End free healthcare for undocumented adults. Stephen A. Smith blasts Jasmine Crockett for opposing Trump on everything, and he blasts Charles Barkley at the same time. So he's just not happy with some guys right now, but maybe he's up to something. We'll see. Inflation eased more than expected in April, slowing to lowest since 2021. Media execs' prediction for CNN as insiders reveal issues at network. Dem lawmakers, donors threw a fit after Biden's debate flop. Who the hell is running this country? Jake Tapper's book is on fire right now. With, you know, he's making so much money right now talking trash about Biden. It's a great business model right now. Yeah. But, you know, I don't know if it would have been a business model he would have followed 9 months ago. But he's definitely using it today.
Yeah.
He says White House Democrats were lying all along about Biden's health until election ended. Did he not do the debate? Was he not in the debate? Was he not sitting across?
He doesn't have a good relationship with his eyes because his eyes and his they don't.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, Texas faces major housing market correction. South Florida homes for sale quadruple. We haven't talked about those. We will. Diddy's trial. We have to talk about. MLB announces stunning decision for Hall of Fame. Sports people. We'll talk about these stories hopefully at the end. Here are 16 baseball figures reinstated from MLB's ineligible list. One of them is going to piss you off. Michael Jordan wants to join NBC and ESPN's. I already talked about that. Okay, so we got a lot of things to cover. Vinny, tell us what's going on for Memorial Day with military merch. Folks, pay very, very close attention, especially if you're a veteran. Go ahead.
Well, as you guys know, in 2 weeks, Monday is at the 26th is Memorial Day. And, everybody, and I get it. It's time off, barbecues, we get to hang out, we get to drink. I mean, I'm not drinking, but, it is, that day isn't all about that. It's remembering the brave men and women who fought and fell to give us every single freedom, every single right that we have. And at Valuetainment, we don't take that freedom lightly. We know it's brought with blood and encouraged. So we got something on Memorial Day. We have a Memorial Day collection right here. We have the hats, Army, Navy, what else? Air Force. We got it all. So if you guys want to go to that section, and as the video is playing, we have if you purchase anything in a Memorial Day package, you get a sticker pack of every single branch, and you get a free American flag keychain. If you go to vtmerch.com, that's where it's going to be.
Go to vtmerch.com and place your order, folks. And if it isn't for you, if you know somebody that has or served in the military, send it to them. On top of that, Rob, did I send you that picture? This puts the biggest smile on my face. This is one of the best things about the Future Looks Bright brand is you get to put a smile on somebody else's face. Here's somebody that bought the lemon campaign that we did, Zest It Forward, and send it to someone. And look what it says here. I love that smile. Mother's Day can feel different when the kids are grown and the nest is empty, but your journey as a mom doesn't end. It just evolves along with you. Let's take a moment to celebrate strength, wisdom, sense of humor, and the love of the empty nester moms who continue to nurture, support, and inspire. Even from afar, we deserve to be acknowledged and celebrated every day. How awesome is that? And look at the smile she's got there, Rob. If you want to go to the next pages, she got the box, she got the card, she got the video, she got the hat. So if you're somebody that's saying, I was never in the military, but make a list of a handful of people, make their day, send something to them, put a smile on their faces. Sometimes we just need to, one of the ways to cheer yourself up is make somebody else's day. It's always been my way of doing it. If I'm in a bad mood, I'm like, let me find a way to make somebody else's day. I feel better about it. So go place an order, zest it forward, make someone's day by visiting vtmerch.com. Okay. First story I want to get into is California. California's obviously place that I lived in for 24 years. Yesterday, Giancarlo asks Tom, so did you ever live in California? He says, my entire life growing up. And then you lived there as well
almost
for
18 years.
Or 18 years. So we love the state. Guy next me saying, what problem do we have with California? Don't you realize that this is the most incredible climate in the world with incredible data? I said, yes. But your policies suck, and they're pushing a lot of good people out, especially with this one. Let me read it to you. California approved 17% rate increase for State Farm, okay? 17% rate increase for State Farm. So this 17% rate increase for homeowners insurance effective June 1st, after the insurer requested a 22% hike, they said 22, California agreed to 17, citing a dire situation post-LA fires. Insurance Commissioner Ricardo Lara stated, we are in a statewide insurance crisis affecting millions of Californians, calling it a tough compromise. Consumer watchdogs Carmen Balber criticizes the decision, saying it adds insult to injury for homeowners facing delayed or lowball claims. State Farm financial distress was acknowledged by administrative judge who found the company is experiencing extraordinary financial stress coupled with surplus depletion that threatens ongoing business operations. Laura noted State Farm must justify its financial conditions and detail its recovery plan at a fall hearing. And this is for homeowners insurance. For renters, you ready? I'm going to let Tom give you guys what the renters insurance increased by. Go ahead, Tom.
And ready for this? It goes up 15% for renters and condos. However, 38% if it's not a condo. So condos got their own little lane, but they gave State Farm permission to raise it 38%.
So I'm renting a 3-bedroom house.
Yeah, 3
from
bedrooms,
somebody.
2 bath.
My renter's insurance, I was paying $2,000 a year. Now I'm paying $2,800 a year.
That is right. Jeez. You're up to $2,800. So that $800 is like a car payment. That's huge. And what's very interesting to me is I dug into this, and the administrative law judge, Carl Frederick Seligman, he said, well, this is because of weather events. Another devastating extreme weather event would nearly eliminate State Farm's surplus. Their surplus was $2.24 billion. Now, this is what an insurance surplus is. An insurance surplus is the money they have to set aside because someone's car is going to get stolen, someone's car is going to be in an accident, or you're going to have a fire in your kitchen, no one gets hurt, but you got to rebuild part of your house. That is what insurance is for. And so State Farm, when they sell X number of policies, they have to keep putting money in a savings account to to cover all this stuff. They had $2.6 billion in it until Palisades burned down. And all the fires in California, led by the Palisade. There was also other ones that were just horrifying. And now they're down to $620 million. So they put $1.6 billion, whoosh, out into people's hands. Now, those people deserve it because they paid for a policy with State Farm and they suffered a terrible loss. Well, now the judge says, hey, they're down to $620 million. And if there's another weather-related event, boy, that would eliminate their surplus. What's he blaming, Vinny? He's blaming weather.
Yeah.
Weather event.
Yeah.
He's not looking at the empty reservoirs, the fire department equipment that wasn't in working order, hydrants that weren't working, and also decisions that they made about not asking PG&E to clear brush and things. No one's looking at that. Oh, it's just the weather. So it basically is taking the bureaucrats, Richard, Laura, and them out of it and not putting it on people that says, wait a minute. Okay, so we got this situation, and you're right, with only $620 billion, these people, $1 million, these people could be in deep water, State Farm, but no one's looking at what was going on in PBD before all the public policies and the mismanagement of things that led it to be such a devastating era. And when all the neglect was there, what happened when the wind and fire came to Palisades? Bawoosh. And the fire department was unarmed to do anything about it.
Here's a question, though, Tom. All that stuff we're talking about, that's not State Farm's problem, okay? State Farm is there to insure your homeowners. Okay? And now, here's a problem. You got to realize
with
what State
good market share, doing a good job, a lot of customers.
When you look at State Farm, he says right now, this is part of the story, the administrative judge, independent administrative judge, non-binding order, which found State Farm is in serious financial stress and recommended a $400 million cash infusion from its parent company. Their parent company is, I think, State Farm Automobile and Insurance Company, something like that. Then you have State Farm. Why do they need $400 million infusion? They're not making money. So guess what? They're saying 21%. They lowered to 17%. California homeowners can't afford that. 15% for renters in a condo, 38% for renters in a house, which in California, in many cases, you're renting a house from somebody else. You're paying that 38%. That's an increase on top of what it already is. But guess what the alternative is? Complain about it. State Farm leaves. State Farm leaves. The mortgage doesn't get approved. The mortgage doesn't get approved. The real estate industry goes into shambles. The real estate industry goes into shambles. And the tweet that Vinny just sent, Rob, if you can pull this one up. This is a tweet that Vinny just sent from Mario in the fall. This is what it takes to afford to buy a house today in America. Check this out.
How crazy is that, Pat? For
a 3-bedroom house, this is what you need to make to be able to afford a 3-bedroom house in America. Zoom in a little bit, Rob, if you could. If you could zoom in a little bit, look at that. California,
Jeez.
210. There's only one state that's higher than that, and it's Massachusetts, 216.
Weird. Wow.
Okay,
and
you
New
got
York,
Washington.
does he watch it? Look at
New York's
New York.
190.
Jeez.
You got Washington, 175. Montana, 177. Utah, 169. Idaho, 163. And then you go lower. Jersey's 57. Connecticut's 44. Rhode Island's 41. Texas is half. Texas is half of California.
Gosh, why were people driving there?
Just by moving from California to Texas, you save 55%, 52%. Alaska's 122, but go to Hawaii.
Look at Hawaii's
the most.
And look where Florida's at, 125. Do you think there's a reason why people from New York are moving to Florida?
Yeah,
there's a reason
living.
for that. But remember, the fear here lies where? If you don't allow State Farm to make money in your state, they will say goodbye. And your real estate industry, the realtors are sitting there shivering because they saw data that came out last year, the fact that 7% of mortgages and sales weren't closing because the people that were buying the house were not qualifying for the homeowner's insurance. And they're like, man, I can't afford to pay this homeowner's insurance. I'm out. Adam, your thoughts on this?
Well, if you live in California, the number one thing that comes to mind to me is the math ain't mathing. How the hell can you afford?
Don't go to Vinny, but keep
okay,
going.
okay.
Adam,
I'm sorry.
I'm not
going to make you do math,
Just
Vinny.
okay. I got you. Give me
How
your
old
hand.
are you, Vinny? Plus one.
48.
Keep going.
Okay.
Keep going.
But just the math ain't mathing. So, we talked about this, I don't know, maybe 6 months ago about everyone's so focused on the minimum wage. What's the minimum wage? What's the minimum wage? Forget about the minimum wage. What is the living wage? I don't know, Robert, if you can pull that up real quick, but I think the living wage, they're fighting for like $20 an hour in California, whatever they're talking about. But the living wage to be able to live in California, just live, is $28 per hour, which would math it out for me, what, $56,000 a year, the median income. So here's what I'm seeing in terms of where people are moving. Now there's sort of like a regress of people moving out of Florida and even moving out of Texas, sort of the reversion to the mean. But here's the challenge that I think people, companies, states are going to have. 5 years ago, 10 years ago, remote work from home, work from anywhere really wasn't a thing, especially before COVID. Now it is. So you don't have to live in the place where you can make the most income. So a lot of people are basically looking at it saying, all right, it costs how much to live in Hawaii, in California, what have you? I could just go move to Tennessee or Texas, but get a job in California, get a job in New York, work remote, do the math. The number one thing that I would say to people is this: as much as you can, keep your flexibility high and your overhead low. If you can keep your overhead very low and stay flexible, especially these days, if you're able to work from anywhere, you could survive this massive increase in the cost of living in America today.
Yeah, I mean, this is scary for what's going on with California. I mean, when you're looking at wanting to live there, people have to answer that basic question. Would I rather take that money and paying taxes to California, thinking it's going to get better, or would I rather move to a Nevada, which is 70K less, that's a 33% savings, or Arizona, 33% savings, or Texas, 50% savings, and use that additional money to give to my kids for college, for future investment, for future business, for my own retirement? Is your decision you're making today allowing you to take care of the older version of you one day you'll be? You're one day going to be 70 years old. Is a 70-year-old version of you happy with the decisions you're making on the way you're managing your finances? Only you can answer that question. The rest of us can't. That comes to you. Adam, I want to continue to the next
I want to
story.
ask you a question.
Yeah.
The cost of living as a man,
Yeah.
does it increase or decrease as you get older?
What do you think?
It gets higher.
Not even a question.
Not even a question. So I see all these people on Connect that ask me questions. Hey, Adam, I'm 28. I'm 32. I haven't started investing yet. I haven't really started saving yet. I'm really trying to figure this thing out. And I asked them, do you think that life is going to get cheaper or more expensive as you hit 35, 40? And they go, that's a good question. Life's only going to get more expensive. So if you don't figure this out now in your 20s and 30s, by the time
What
you're
was
40
that word
and 50,
you used, Tom? Can you
screwed.
bring back that word you used? I don't think he heard anything you said.
The caboose?
Caboose.
The caboose word went over here because all right, let's continue.
Because if there's anything
I'm
that's
gonna
relevant
go
to
to
the cost of
another
living, it's that
story.
caboose.
I'm going to go to another story here for you to forgive the caboose situation. But let's go to the next story. The next story we have is a Diddy's trial. I mean, this Diddy situation is getting nastier and nastier and nastier. Rob, before I read this, is there anything you have? Obviously, the only thing we can see is paintings and drawings and all this other
And
stuff.
by the way, that artist should never ever hold a paintbrush or a drawing pencil. That artist, in this the case, is horrible. And we'll go ahead.
Yeah, let me just. So Cassie Ventura testified Sean Diddy Combs controlled freak-off sessions, directing her to have sex with multiple male escorts, stating sometimes Sean and the escort would have intercourse with me. It was just like a lot happening at once, and specifying that escorts would ejaculate usually when it was okay for them. Per Sean, often, this is a New York Post story, folks, so earmuffs. Often on, if you got kids, just don't, I'm going to read this next part. I should have given you a warning. But if you got kids, pause the video and then continue. Often on her body, after which, are we really reading this? Urinating on her? Saying
it
sometimes
gets pretty.
Sean, he
it's why it's
himself,
called
or the
a freak
escort
off,
would urinate
PBD.
on me, including an overwhelming incident where she choked because too much urine was in her mouth. What?
Yep. Dude,
Ventura detailed the degrading nature of these drug-fueled freak-offs, noting she was high on ecstasy and MDMA, feeling sick almost every time, yet Combs would push her to continue on with the intercourse, even if I felt like vomiting or if I was vomiting. She described a session where a blow-up pool filled with baby oil applied every 5 minutes to keep participants glistening, and revealed Combs once left the freak-off to comfort rival Suge Knight. What?
Yeah.
No, to confront Suge Knight, not comfort.
To confront Suge to confront Suge Knight.
Hey, Suge, come here, let me get real
screaming,
comfortable with you, baby.
Please don't do anything stupid. Okay, Rob, what do you have to show us before we get into thoughts? Because I got a bunch of stuff here as well myself.
So I have TMZ reciting or reading some of the testimony from Cassie, if you'd like to play that.
Yeah.
Or I have Fox News giving a summary of the first 2
Do
days of the
TMZ
trial.
first, and let's go to Fox. All right, go for it.
Is he just going to read it?
Did you want Sean to urinate on you? Cassie, I didn't want anyone to urinate on me. Prosecutor, how often did it happen? Answer, often enough.
Okay, so there we go. Now, here's Fox. Go ahead, Rob.
What jurors heard today were tales of appalling physical abuse by Sean Combs as prosecutors portrayed him as a monster who controlled people and plied them with drugs, threats, money, brandishing guns during these on-camera sexual performances that he liked to call freak-offs. And in fact, jurors were shown for the first time today that horrifying videotape. Combs brutally beating, kicking, and dragging his then-girlfriend. And then a male escort took the witness stand, and he talked about how he saw firsthand that same young woman repeatedly battered by the defendant, who then tried to bribe a hotel security guard with a stack of cash to get rid of the evidence. In opening statements, what struck me was how the defense attorney openly admitted that her client committed domestic violence, but then tried to argue, well, that's not sex trafficking for which he's charged. Technically, yes, but it is an underlying crime in the racketeering case against him, which includes kidnapping, arson, sex crimes, bribery, obstruction, all part of this alleged criminal enterprise run by Sean Combs. His attorney also admitted to the jury that her client's conduct is, quote unquote, indefensible, and that he may be a sexual deviant, but that doesn't make him a criminal, which strikes me as not a terribly great defense. Also claiming that the disgusting sex tapes actually prove it was all consensual, and then urging the jury, don't be the moral police here. And finally, Combs' lawyers are going to be arguing, and they said this to the jury, that the alleged female victims, and there are a lot of them, are all motivated to lie out of greed because they filed lawsuits against Combs for money damages. Well, that is a typical defense tactic, but it is dangerous, it is perilous. Jurors might perceive it as the lawyers re-victimizing the victims. Katie?
Okay, Vinny, thoughts on this?
Well, I mean, it's unbelievably believable, if that makes any sense. Like everybody in the hip hop world and everybody knew exactly what Diddy was. Everybody, it's always like everybody knows, but nobody says anything. A lot of these people, too, mind you, this is what, the third day, Rob? Wait till you see all the other stuff that's going to be coming out. So one of the guys that took the stand was Jonathan Odie. Remember that guy? He was one of Diddy's male escorts that he hired for these freak-offs. And he said that Diddy, well, Cassie said on the stand, Diddy forced her to have sex with these guys while watched and directed like a sick producer. And then Odie confirmed it and said he got paid $800 a session. And remember, he signed that $5 million NDA to keep quiet. But here's what's crazier. Do you remember who this guy was? You know who Jonathan Odie? Nobody talks about them. But we know, but he stormed Trump's Doral Resort in 2018, all right, with a gun and an American flag. He shot up the lobby. He pulled a fire alarm, fired at a chandelier, and started yelling about how Diddy, Hillary Clinton, and Obama were part of a satanic cabal plotting to kill Trump. Think about this. And everyone called him crazy back then, but like now, after you're hearing all this stuff about court, people are listening a little bit closer to what he's saying. And she also said, besides all the urinating and all that stupid stuff, he said that he controlled every part of her life, took her phone, made her use fake names, tracked her movements. She said he made her call him Pop Pop and described how his eyes would go back.
You know why Pop Pop?
Why?
Because that's her grandfather's nickname.
No.
He asked, what's your grandfather's nickname?
What?
She says, Pop Pop. She says, moving forward, I want you to call me Pop
Bala.
Pop. Hemen.
What?
Pop Pop is the name he wanted to be called because that's what she called her grandfather. Not even her daddy, her grandfather.
Wow.
Keep going.
Oh, well, thanks. I had no idea. So they showed photos
Can
of
you
her.
verify that, Rob? So
yeah, and dragging her by her hair, doing all that stuff. And then, bro, check this out. He ran it like a business, Tom. Staff managed the girls, flights, hotels that were booked under fake names and shell companies. There were burner phones, surveillance videos used for leverage, rumors. You know, that's the whole blackmail that we always talk about. Rumors about celebrities and political connections tied to this mess. And Brandon Brandon told me something about
that's racketeering. That's the racketeering charge. For people listening, you just defined racketeering. A criminal enterprise operating like a business illegally is racketeering. What you just described, assistants, coordinators, you're the travel guy, I'm the SUV guy. Bingo.
Yeah, and the name Brandon actually looked this up. Do you guys know like Clive Davis, his name kept coming up because there was rumors and allegations, and again, allegations suggesting that there was a sexual relationship between Clive Davis and Sean Diddy. All rumors, because mind you, in 1993, Puffy he was fired from Uptown Records, and he started Bad Boy Entertainment, but he needed the money. Clive Davis, head of Arista Records, saw the potential and went 50-50 joint venture, but the rumors are that they had some type of hooking up with each other. I mean, dude, that guy just looks very, very sus in general. And Clive Davis publicly came out as bisexual in 2013 in his memoir, The Soundtrack of My Life, where he discussed his relationship with both men and women, but didn't involve or mention anybody's names. It's a weird world, and it's just like here's my question, Pat. What makes someone like that go to this level and not think that they're ever going to get caught? And nobody's ever going to come forward, and you're never going to get in trouble. It boggles my mind the amount of stuff that he did. To have the power, Tom, to go in a hotel and get the footage of you beating someone in the hallway, and the hotel goes, yeah, here, take it for money.
But he paid. He paid the security guy.
He paid security to go grab it.
He paid the security guy, and he said, hey, got those guys to get involved to support him with it. So, Adam, what do you know about the story so far?
So, welcome to Hollywood, ladies and gentlemen. I mean, you think that Diddy's the only person doing stuff like this? So
Absolutely
maybe he's
not.
the poster child at this point, but this trial is going to pull back the curtain on what the hell is going on behind
There's
the
a challenge,
scenes.
though. Are you following any of the stories with this
Yeah,
or not
I'm seeing
really?
what's going on here. Why?
Okay, so there's a few things that's a little bit you got to be careful with on what's going on here, because there's one thing that was shown that they have to answer. By the way, go back to that the fact you just had it up right there, Rob. So Diddy was asked what Cassie called her grandfather, then made her call him by that name. Testimony, pop. So they found the text, right? The exchange in text between the two of them. So you're the lawyer representing Diddy. They showed a text of her saying, "Can't wait for the next freak off."
That's what she said.
No, that's what she said to him.
Okay.
Can't wait for the next freak off. Rob, if you can type in "can't wait for the next freak off," you'll see this. So check this out. So "can't wait for the next freak off" is are you seeing it? It's in many different articles where she says "can't wait for the next freak off."
I believe
Okay, so guess what? Whether he made her text him to document it or she actually did, guess who that helps? That helps Diddy.
Of course.
Because now they're going to say what? It's consensual. So what do you mean right there? No, not there's no prosecutor text. Okay, let me see that one. Can't wait. Text from Cassie. One sent to Shonda on Father's Day. Can't wait until we have a baby of our own. She said Ventura has previously loved Combs despite 11-year relationship, all this other stuff, right? So that's that part. The video that you see, her being dragged out of her room, one of the escorts was in the room while that was taking place. She is running out while one of the escorts is in the room. And you know where they were getting these escorts from? Craigslist. Jeez. They would go to Craigslist. They had two different names they used. The name she used was, "My name is Jackie Starr." The name he used was Frank Black. The name he used. He would put on a mask when you would come in, so nobody knew it was Diddy. Wow. And she would put on a wig, and you would not tell if it's them. So this is how they got away without any of it, and then it was always cash when this would take place. And then they would ask, what would happen if you came in? This is in the entire, what do you call it, the exchange deposition. Yeah. They asked, well, what would happen when the escorts would come in? How would you pay them? Said, well, he would pay them anywhere between $500 to $6,000. Why is the range so high? If you came in and you didn't perform well, he paid you $500, asked you to leave. And he would tell you didn't do a good job. What? If you came in, you performed very well, he'd give you $6,000, $3,000, $5,000, whatever it was, right? So it was performance-based. This guy's
hey, listen, that's a business model, PBD.
So that's what he's doing with these guys when they're coming in and out. One time they're on a flight, and she's sick and tired of sitting next to him. She switches seats to go sit by herself away from him. He goes to her, shows a video, and says, "Do that again. I'll make sure the world see this video."
That's black.
And it's a video of her with one of the escorts. and he has us all in video. Okay, imagine how you're being held hostage with all of this stuff that you have, that you're being controlled with. And this continues to get bigger because Ventura alleged that Combs threatened rapper Kid Cudi, claiming he would blow up Cudi's car. The claim is part of a broader pattern of intimidation described during the trial. And then it continues talking about her health and all these other things. But a lot of people are watching this. Lawyers specifically are saying Diddy may get off because of the way they're making the case. And some of the stuff is showing the fact that this was consensual. Because if this, the purpose of this is what? What is the purpose of this? What is he being judged for? He's being judged for what? For
racketeering and trafficking.
Well, trafficking is mutual. There's consensual. So the trafficking case could be dismissed. The racketeering on what he's doing, well, there's plenty of documentation there that something can happen. But some of the handling could potentially cause Diddy to become O.J. Simpson 2.0.
Yeah.
And goes free.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
I actually think that's
my opinion.
I think that's what's going to happen,
What?
to be honest with you.
I think Diddy's going to be O.J. Simpson 2.0. He'll be free, and then it'll take us 10, 20 years to find out the whole details, and he's going to do the same interviews and wink, wink, and all this other stuff, and you're going to see that happening 2.0.
Let me tell you why I agree with you, PBD. Because what's happening in society today is something called trial by media. And the media gets a story, whether it's Harvey Weinstein, whether it's Johnny Depp, whether it's Andrew Tate, whether it's Diddy, and boom, it's off to the races. Whether it's the actual media, whether it's mainstream media, whether it's social media, they take a story and then all of a sudden it's out there in the airwaves. And what happens when millions and millions and millions of people hear about Diddy? Oh, he's guilty. What a scumbag. They saw the video of him beating the crap out of Cassie. He's a piece of shit. Okay, we get that. But in America, it's innocent until proven guilty. So in my opinion, here's what's going to happen. All this stuff is going to come to light. He's a sexual freak. He's a deviant. He's a control freak. He's doing all these things. There's thousands of bottles of lube. But then they're going to come down to the point that, all right, so the main witness, it would seem, is your girlfriend for the last 10 years. And they're going to ask her the question, well, why didn't you leave? What happened? Well, he scared me. He's intimidating. He's a power freak. He's a control freak. Okay. Well, you can put a restraining order on him. You can do whatever you want. And in my opinion, they're going to look at her. By the way, she already received $20 million settlement. So I'm not saying that I'm condoning anything that Diddy does. But I agree with you, PBD. At some point, they're going to look at this and they're going to say, racketeering? What do you do that's racketeering? Sex trafficking? They're going to try to use like cross state lines, however that is. But the defense strategy is going to be she co-signed this, and as deranged and as psychotic as it is, you signed up for this.
Just really fast, every time something, remember we talked about this, every time something with Diddy's name came up, Justin Bieber, something was always weird. He was doing weird stuff. He was drinking. He was on drugs. Yesterday, he posted something really weird because the case is blown up and it's everywhere. He posted a video of him eating a slice of pizza, which with the surveillance type thing. And if you guys remember, you know, all the surveillance stuff that was at Diddy's house and everything. I wouldn't play the music, Rob, but Liz Krukin, who they always talk about Pizzagate, you know, the conspiracy about Pizzagate. This was a weird thing that he posted yesterday.
Hillary Clinton Pizzagate?
No, Hillary Clinton, John Podesta, all these leaked emails. By the way, and if people want to do a deep dive about $65,000 worth of hot dogs and pizza getting sent to the White House, do your own research. But it's kind of weird, which I think this is one of the most famous victims. This is my opinion. And this was a message, I think, posting that, eating pizza.
What's his message, though?
What is it?
Letting know that what these people are doing. No, what
is it? Support for Diddy?
Absolutely not. It's showing them
what is it exactly?
that these people not only hook up and they're, by the way, these are the facts. They're disgusting, evil people. He's saying that, my opinion, this might be a call like, hey, listen, they mess with little kids too. Just letting you know.
Let me tell you.
That's
for
my
me, Shug, when Shug was on the podcast, and I said, Shug, what do you know about what's going on with, you know, Diddy and all this stuff? He says, well, listen, you don't one day wake up and do stuff like this. Somebody taught you how to do that. And I said, who would teach him? He says, Clive Davis would teach him how to do it.
That's right.
Clive did that to him. And I think there was a story about Diddy when he was it Rush Hour? I don't know which one it was. There was something that happened where Diddy was a part of it, and Clive gave him the opportunity in exchange for, request that he made. And apparently Diddy gave him the request, and then Clive set him up with his career. So because of that, Diddy took off that the way he did. Now, listen, that's pure speculation
Yeah,
of
it's
what's
all
happening.
hearsay.
Nobody. But all I'm saying to you is, Clive Davis's name keeps coming up over and over again. Tom, do you have any thoughts?
Yeah, I got one. Nobody's talking about all the other people that have been in those pictures at the freak-offs.
Oh, yeah.
And they're all very nervous about this. And they don't want to be exposed. They're already in pictures. They don't want anything to go any further. And there's a lot of nervous people. I take you back very, very briefly, and I'll put a period at the end of the sentence. 1994, 1996, Heidi Fleiss, the Hollywood Madam, and her black book.
Yeah.
And how they said, you would not believe the amount of energy that went behind the scenes with lawyers attempting to make sure that that piece of evidence in her case was sealed and kept off the streets. And it was her black book. And that's what we're seeing here. So there's another part of this that I think is almost like theater to watch, is how people that were in a picture or you were at there, it's like the Epstein files.
I was just going to say that.
Yep, you know what? They're all worried about it. And so we'll let due process play out for Diddy, and I have nothing to add about what people have said there, but you know what? From Heidi Fleiss's black book to Epstein's files, there's a lot of other people that are doing things in Hollywood.
I got you. I got it. So we'll see what happened.
Walking
I thought it was a
around
period
nervous.
there, but there was a lot of comments. But Saudi roll out the red carpet. I'm just teasing you, Tom. I'm giving you a hard time, Tom. Saudi roll out. I was waiting for the period. I'm like, damn, that's a long ass sentence.
Very good sentence.
Saudi roll out the red carpet for fast food loving Trump and mobile McDonald's. I mean, these guys were competing on how to give President. This is President Trump shows up. Look what they have there.
That is
Look at this.
so
They
sick.
know how much he loves Big Mac. They're like, yeah, bring it out, right? Bring it out.
You know what
with
that says on the top? Ba-da-ba-ba-ba.
I'm loving it. Anyways, and then while he's there, he's giving a speech. So he goes to Saudi first. He comes out. This is the first time he's coming out. Tom, you were telling the story about the fact that the only last time that he came out was for his father.
Yeah, apparently that
MBS
coming out to the plane. The report I read was he had only done that with his father. He normally has the horse guard come out and give them a big welcome, and then they meet him at the palace. So he's on home field, right?
Yeah.
But he came out to the plane.
Yeah, so that's showing the ultimate level of respect. And then there was the purple
carpet. It's like almost like royalty. Like that's showing of respect. And the thing that the gifts that they gave him, he really, really treats him as an equal. Look at that. Like that doesn't happen. The purple
carpet
signifies
walking up and then walking out with him. Okay. America looking powerful again.
Yeah.
While he's there, he gives a speech, which, by the way, a very bold speech, folks. A lot of neocons were not happy about that speech. A lot of people were not happy about that speech that he gave. Rob, if you have it, $120 of it, the shorter version of it, is that the one? Go ahead and play this clip. Go for it. Watch this.
The transformations have been unbelievably remarkable. Before our eyes, a new generation of leaders is transcending the ancient conflicts of tired divisions of the past and forging a future where the Middle East is defined by commerce, not chaos, where it exports technology, not terrorism, and where people of different nations, religions, and creeds are building cities together, not bombing each other out of existence. We don't want that.
What a boss. Yep.
And it's crucial for the wider world to note this great transformation has not come from Western interventionists or flying people in beautiful planes giving you lectures on how to live and how to govern your own affairs. No, the gleaming marvels of Riyadh and Abu Dhabi were not created by the so-called nation builders, neocons, or liberal nonprofits like those who spent trillions and trillions of dollars failing to develop Kabul, Baghdad, so many other cities. Instead, the birth of a modern Middle East has been brought by the people of the region themselves, the people that are right here, the people that have lived here all their lives, developing your own sovereign countries, pursuing your own unique visions and charts.
So, you know, he's doing that. Then he offers the 140, the inks the $142 billion arms deal with Saudi Arabia, which, Tom, you have some thoughts on that, part of the $600 billion investment. And then, you know, on top of that, you know, he gets on the plane and goes to Qatar and does his thing there. But I'll pause right here. Tom, your thoughts on this visit Why was this special? What was special about it?
Well, I think he's going around the world and he's doing these trade deals. And he's also trying to improve relationships with people. And America has always had this weird relationship with Saudi Arabia, where on one level, we have this this détente, and on another level, they do things behind the scenes. Well, what was interesting is they announced that they were going to put all this money, $600 billion in the U.S., and they're spending $142 billion of it. So Trump came back, $102 billion, and guess what they wanted? They wanted state-of-the-art Air Force missile defense and maritime security. Because remember, they got the Gulf there, and they got the same problems, believe it or not. The Somali pirates bother the shipping for Saudi as well. So he comes over and he gets an arms deal. So that's money going to some of, our defense, military defense, industrial defense complex that raises their revenue and it helps the stock market. But now it's like, okay, how are they going to use these things? Because Saudi's always been kind of two-sided on it. But I think he's out there trying to get a better position. So whenever people see these things and they think, oh, I can't believe he's doing this and that, he's trying to get us a toe up. Every one of these things, he's trying to get us a toe up. And I'm not buying off on that he's caving on this or that.
Do you think Saudi's being a good agent? Do you think Saudi's being straight up? Do you think Saudi's going to take that $142 billion arms deal and indirectly sell it to other people to make profit on it? Do you think they will do something like that? Or maybe that was in the past, they won't do it again moving forward?
Arms tend to, not all of these regimes are altruistic. There's a little corruption all over the Middle East, and stuff goes out the back door. The French have been selling, missiles and exocet fighters for decades, and all of a sudden they go over here, and then they go over here. How'd you get those? Oh, we got them from the French. It's a trade deal. So to me, whenever it's a big arms deal, one day they're going to do something. Someone's going to do something with the arms in the Middle East. They rarely build up big missile stockpiles like the U.S. and Russia did, stalemate, and never use them. Weapons tend to get used in the Middle East. And so I worry about that in the future. But I think right now, the Saudis are trying to walk forward, because I think the Saudis is one regime, as people say, well, they're bad things about them this way and that way. But there is one thing about them. They don't want to look like the old Middle East. They are actually building cities and are trying to look forward. That doesn't make everything they're doing on the backside good, but they are actively trying to make it to tomorrow.
Adam, your thoughts on this?
Well, when you think of Saudi, you have to think of one name, and that's MBS. Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman has been trying to transform Saudi Arabia from the dark ages into a modern society. I mean, when he came to power, he allowed women to start driving again. He started basically reaching out to countries and give economic prosperity. He started basically using sports and culture and entertainment
again.
Yeah. It's tough stuff, right?
Crazy.
I mean, I totally disagreed with this, but just shout out to the prince for what he's doing.
I'm not even comfortable with you driving.
I don't. That's why I don't drive. Unless the crown prince wants to get me a car. But this is the guy that's transforming the Middle East. I would take the gift, PBD.
I know you would, yeah.
Thank you. But this is the guy that's transforming the Middle East. Now, he doesn't come with issues, not come with issues. There's been allegations, there's been stories, there's been rumors. But at the end of the day, this is the type of a leader that works for the Middle East. The Middle East doesn't have presidents. They don't have prime ministers. They have rulers. This is what they respond to. So here's the guy changing things. Now, when Trump comes in, on the surface, this all looks great. But as always, the devil's in the details. So here's how I would break down the Middle East. And PBD, you would know this better than anybody. In the Middle East, you have what you could call the haves and the have-nots. There's a big difference between the petro-states and the Gulf states versus everybody else. So the countries that have money have what one thing, Tom? Oil. So Qatar, UAE, Saudi, Kuwait, Bahrain, all those Gulf states right there, their GDP per capita is incredible. I think Qatar, which is quietly one of the leaders of funding terrorism, don't say it out loud, has the highest GDP per capita in the world. In the world. I think number 2 is Luxembourg. But then you have the have-nots. The have-nots is where everything gets very messy and very tricky and very ugly in the Middle East. You're talking Yemen, war, Syria, civil war, Lebanon, Hezbollah, Iran. We know what's going on there. Iraq, Jordan to an extent, Egypt, even the Palestinian territories. All these areas are basically marked with death and chaos. When I had the conversation with our friend Bassem Youssef, I said the one thing that would hopefully happen in the Middle East is exactly what Trump said he wanted to prioritize. He said the following: I want to prioritize commerce, not chaos. And that's exactly what I said to Bassem. I said it would be amazing if countries were able to focus on GDP, not GDT. Gross domestic product, not gross domestic terrorism. The issue is the rich countries basically fund terrorism in the poor countries. And they have proxy wars. What's the proxy war that Saudi and Iran are fighting? In Yemen. Who is Qatar and Iran funding? Hezbollah, the Houthis, Hamas. So it's a very tricky situation.
Let me tell you what happened, though, with President Trump. You know, he also, on this visit to Qatar, Rob, can you find that one clip where he says, you know, you remind me a lot about the person I just visited right now, which is, do you have that clip, Rob? When
this it where he says tall and handsome?
No. They're sitting next to each other. He's sitting literally right next to the, that's
right
the
here.
one right there. Yeah, watch that one right there where he says, go ahead.
We came from Saudi Arabia, where we have another great man
They're
over
competitors.
there. That's a friend
Watch.
of yours. And you two guys get along so well and like each other. You sort of remind me a little bit of each other. If you
Look
want
at
to
the
know.
face on it.
They're both tall, handsome guys that happen to be very smart. But he's also a very special guy, and it's good to see all the relationships forming in the Middle East, because the Middle East is really being talked about all over the world, and we're having a lot to do with it. We're helping a lot, but they're doing a tremendous job. So I just want to thank everybody very much for being here. I want to thank the media.
You know where he
The
goes
media's
to
been
next?
very fair, actually.
No.
And
Yeah, he goes to
great
UAE.
arguing with
Syria.
you. This is
No, he doesn't
you take a
go
look
to
at this
Syria.
He
room. This
meets
room
with
is,
Syria's
the
president.
real
First time ever in 25 years.
Yeah, and he
Weird.
He
Do you have that with the Syria's president?
he lifted the sanctions off Syria for
He
the
did.
first time in 45 years.
Yeah. So can you pull up the two of them together? There is a clip I saw of the two of them together. Syria president. Let me see if I can find this. So again, is this the one? First time in
That's just an
25
image.
years. Image of Trump, Shara meeting in Saudi royal court. So yeah, that's right. So they're there, but this is the first time in 25 years a U.S. president sits with Syria's president. I mean, the way he's going about it, he's making a statement to everybody. Listen, I don't want war.
Period.
And you gotta love it. And the way he's doing it is, who is he going to? Can you pull up who this person is, Rob? So what do we know about Ahmed al-Shara?
Yeah,
Okay.
former jihadist Islamist who has now taken over Syria.
Yeah,
Former?
That's
Well,
right.
that's
Oh, you retire?
yeah. Well, you know, he's basically a terrorist in a suit and tie, and I'm
Okay.
using air quotes for the
Look
people
at it.
listening.
Al-Shara joined Al-Qaeda in Iraq shortly
Yes.
before 2003 invasion of Iraq and fought for 3 years in Iraqi insurgency. American forces captured and imprisoned him from 2006 to 2011. His release coincided with the Syrian revolution that the Ba'athist dictatorship of Bashar al-Assad. Al-Shara created the Al-Nusra Front in 2012 with the support of Al-Qaeda to fight the Assad regime in Syrian civil war. As emir of the Al-Nusra Front, Al-Shara built a stronghold in the northwestern Idlib governorate. He resisted Abu Bakr al-Baghdadi, which is a
Abu Bakr al-Baghdadi
is dead. Attempts to merge
Died like a dog.
Al-Nusra.
A beautiful dog.
Al-Nusra Front. It is not good. Al-Nusra's front with Islamic State, leading to a war between the two groups in 2016. Al-Shara. So this is, do you realize who you're sitting down with?
Yeah.
So you're sitting down with someone saying, hey, man, how you doing?
Yeah.
So he said, the difference is you're a true killer, but what I have access to, you don't have access to.
Yeah.
Can we find a way to eliminate war? Now, here's the thing. The challenge here is the next 4 years. Look at that picture right there, Vinny. Look at that picture right there. Okay? You realize that Saudi and Syria and him in the middle. He's smiling. The smile on the guy on the right from Syria is a different kind of a smile.
It's not even a smile.
He said, this is a temporary picture we will take, but in 4 years when you are no longer here.
Yeah, exactly.
And if I get Kamala or somebody else, Newsom, please, I will destroy everybody. But, who knows what's going to happen here. What I love the most is what I love the most, man. Remember the qualities of an incredible leader is what? Fear, respect, love. In this case, he doesn't need to be loved.
Nope.
But he's liked, respected, and feared. That's all that matters. And it's working.
Yeah.
And the only unfortunate thing about this is not going to get fixed in 4 years.
No.
You need 10 years of this.
Yeah.
But you're not going to have it in America.
So what does that tell you, though?
What do you mean, what does that tell you?
That tells us whoever comes after this guy, we have to keep this going and not give the other side an inch.
Whoever comes is not going to have the swagger that this
at
guy
all.
has.
I actually think it could be done quicker than you think.
Tell me.
Because, look, this picture right here, this is groundbreaking. We haven't done stuff like this in the president. You got to give president credit. So sometimes it's considered photo ops, and sometimes it's actually considered getting shit
He's not
done.
a photo op guy.
Okay, well.
He's a doer.
He's a doer.
I agree with you, but hear me out. He met with Kim Jong-un, North Korea. Great. Photo op. They sent me love letters. That didn't lead to anything. He met with Putin. Obviously, that turned out a little sour when Biden came to office. He met with Erdogan. Erdogan has become even stronger autocrat. So what will happen is this, and this is my opinion. This is why I think things go quicker. What do you think Trump's ultimate goal is? If you could sort of condense everything he's doing into one specific, actual, tangible item. In my opinion, what I think his ultimate goal is to actually finish what he started, which is the Abraham Accords. So if you actually pay attention to what he's doing, he's almost using the exact playbook that Bibi Netanyahu was doing in the Middle East. What is that? It's called the 99-to-1 strategy. The Israeli government and the world was so focused on Israel having peace with Palestine that they said, until there it is right there, 91, strategic approach, often in the context of political discourse or military planning, or a small number of resources or actions focused on achieving a significant result. Hear me out. They said you can't have peace in the Middle East until you have peace with the Palestinians. And he goes, no, I don't think so, because these psychopaths in Hamas, we're never going to have peace with these people. So what we're going to do is start putting olive branches all around the Middle East. Boom, Abraham Accords happens. They start doing deals. Obviously, they have peace agreements with Egypt and Jordan that existed already. UAE, Bahrain, Oman, all these countries starts happening one by one. And some speculate that October 7th happened. Why? Because they were getting dangerously close to a deal, a peace agreement with Saudi. Okay, Trump sees that. He finished what he started. Now, Trump is basically doing the exact same thing, but on a bigger scale. And who is U.S. focused on isolating? If there's one country in the Middle East, one country, it would be Iran. So Trump's going out there saying, listen, let me go make friends with Qatar. Let me drop sanctions on Syria. Let me work out this deal with Saudi. All in the guise of basically saying, look, we have to isolate Iran, because if we're going to basically get everybody on our side and isolate Iran, that is the only way that they're going to come to the table and finish this nuclear deal that they started. So just to give you quick numbers real quick, $142 billion arms deal with Saudi, $600 Saudi investment into the U.S., $200 billion Boeing deal with Qatar, lift sanctions on Syria. Quietly, very quietly, a $1 billion arms deal is approved with Israel. Okay. And then Trump basically says, Iran, make your move, buddy, because the nuclear deal is going to be hanging on your shoulder. Well, that's what I think is happening.
Well, yeah. Well, top Iranian officials say that Tehran would forego highly enriched uranium in nuclear deal with Trump. So Trump is in big time negotiations with them. But you know what it is? Just really fast. This is what leadership looks like. He's not there to bow. He's not there to apologize. He's not there to send pallets of cash. Okay, he's making deals. He's stopping the bloodshed. Excuse me, and he's showing strength. Unlike Biden, you see, bro, compare him to Joe Biden. Joe Biden, besides the falling down the stairs, when he met MBS, you know what he did? He fist bumped them. He's not even like
during COVID. So,
no, it wasn't during COVID. It wasn't during COVID. Regardless, you don't fist bump a freaking leader of a country, okay? And he's there. Well, listen, Trump is building peace with countries that used to chant death to America. That's exactly what the hell he's doing, bro. This is real diplomacy. He's not fighting. He's not trying to do all this wars and do all that shit. It's strength, not weakness. Yeah, what COVID? Nobody's wearing masks. Oh, that one guy in the back.
Vinny, not to get into the devil in details, this is during COVID. So that's the whole reason that they did a fist bump. But it's almost irrelevant at this point.
Yeah, it's irrelevant.
What's more relevant is Biden came to office and the first thing he did was criticize MBS for the whole Jamal Khashoggi thing. And I get that. But, they say you don't make peace with your friends, you make peace with your enemies. Saudi is now becoming more and more and more of an ally. Don't forget that Saudi, who funded, I think, $2 billion of Jared Kushner's $3 billion
Saudi Arabia
investment, Saudi. So there's an interesting relationship going here. And in my opinion, it's all to isolate Iran. PBD, can I turn to you on this Iran thing?
Sure.
Okay. So if Trump does all these deals, and he starts basically doing these arms deals and getting Qatar on board and basically sort of leveraging economic ties and military ties, even with people that have not been our friends, Qatar, Syria, what have you. All of a sudden, Iran is looking at it and being like, hold on, we're out in the cold here. How does the Iranian government, the Ayatollahs, look at something like this from their perspective?
Okay, how many nuclear weapons does Qatar have?
None.
How many
allegedly?
How many nuclear weapons does Saudi have?
None, hopefully.
How many nuclear weapons do any of these countries in the Gulf have?
Hopefully zero.
Okay.
Iran is working on it. How many Israel may or may not have.
How many nuclear weapons does Russia have?
A whole bunch.
How many nuclear weapons does China have?
A good amount.
How is Turkey's military?
Very strong.
Listen, yeah, that's great that all these guys have money and oil. Their military is not a threat to anybody. They can do all the proxy stuff that they want to do. And I love that he's doing this because he is ousting them from financially. You're suffocating Iran financially, and you're empowering these guys. But to think like Iran's going to come back and work with you? Iran the other day, when I'm talking to one of the biggest Iranian media companies, they came out here because we were talking about potentially purchasing them. And I won't be giving any names, and I don't want any of that to be out in the open. But we're having this conversation with them. Great conversation. And, so why are you doing what you're doing? Well, one day. I said, I get it, one day. But why are you doing what you're doing? He says, well, if Iran opens up and the economy opens up, you realize no American companies right now do commercials over there. If it opens up, think about it, no AT&T. No Ford, no nothing. How big is that market?
In
How
Iran.
many people? That's right. Watch this. This is Canada Dry commercial in Iran, 1973. Go ahead and play this. Go ahead, Rob.
Man, I'd drink that drink.
Look at this. Look at this. This works with us, buddy. It doesn't work. I want to have one right now. Look at that.
Canada Dry.
I'm going to have it right now. Bring one for me from 1973 with the
It's
Suski in it.
almost disbelievable. But that's what Iran
No,
was
but
like.
what I'm trying to say to you is,
Very Western.
Yeah, of course. Like, you wanted to get to that. That was under the Shah.
Yep.
You wanted to get to that. You wanted to get to that level. You wanted to experience that with Iran. Here's another clip, Rob. If you can go to the other one of women's sports, girls playing sports and what they're doing. Watch this one here. This is the old Iran. Go ahead. 79. Look what they're wearing. This is pre.
Right.
This is them playing soccer. It's like anywhere else. Look at this. They're involved in sports. They're doing their thing. You're not going to find this today.
Right.
This is not what you're seeing over there. So but to go over there, what you're asking, right? Okay. So
yeah, because the Ayatollahs do not want that.
No, they
don't want ladies in leggings.
They do not want that.
No.
So that economy around, if it gets better, and Iran is sitting around and is like, hey, daddy, Joey's getting inheritance from you, Bobby's getting this, blah, 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 and I'm not getting anything. But that kid is going to create resentment towards daddy. And in this scenario, daddy is who? Daddy is Trump. Why? Because daddy creates the sanctions where somebody's going to do business with you or not. But that kid that is turning against wanting to do business, a part of it is also what? An element of Cain and Abel, where it's like, hey, man, you are also not willing to, you destroyed an incredible piece of land that God gave you. Iran, this place has a very, very rich history of what happened to it. So to me, as much as this is all good economically, GDP instead of GDT, which is a very good point you made with Bassem when you guys were speaking to each other. Yes. Having said that, Iran still has the backing of 3 of the biggest gangsters in that area. So what are you going to do? Turkey, Russia, and China still got a good relationship with them. Now, if Trump is able to get Zelensky and Putin to meet in Russia on Russians' ground to call, because that's the deal. This is all good, but this is all money to me. This is all money saying, listen, bring some of that oil money to the States. Here's what we're going to be doing. This is fantastic for economy and commerce. But what I want to see is, which is going to happen, you know it's going to happen, the president goes with his team. You got the Lutniks, you got the Rubios, you got all those guys. They're in Russia with Zelensky and his people are in Russia in a room with that picture you see that Trump standing in the middle with Putin to the right and Zelensky to the left.
Yeah.
And that deal happens. That's good. Then he goes to China or Xi comes here and that visit happens. And if there's anybody that would be willing to go to China, he would go to make that on the big international stage. And then if he gets to find a way to get Turkey also scored away to be calmed down, then guess what happens with Iran? They're the Lone Ranger sitting there saying, oh, shit.
Yeah.
He's building a relationship. So I'm excited about that next phase of what's going to happen.
We'll see what happens.
Yeah, we'll see what happens. All right.
Can we address what's just going on? Since you brought up Russia and Ukraine, you know, the latest, you know, okay, you want to go there?
Yeah. The request that he made.
Yeah, because right now they're apparently meeting in Turkey, in Istanbul, and there's one key player that has not shown up, and that is Putin.
Yeah.
So you have that story, Pat?
Is the Wall Street Journal one you're looking at?
This is the Wall Street Journal and New York Post, where Zelensky challenges Putin to meet him in person for peace talks, just as Trump suggested. You want to read that? You want me to read it?
Yeah, if you want to go to page 10, I'll read the story
Go
here,
ahead.
and then I'll come to you guys. But the request here is, I don't know if it's showing what Putin is asking. So Zelensky challenges Putin to meet him in person for peace talks, just as Trump suggested. Ukrainian President Zelensky challenged Putin to meet him in person for peace talks in Istanbul with his advisor, Mikhailo Podolyak, stating President Zelensky will not meet with any other Russian representative in Istanbul except for Putin, as a sign Russia is ready to end its invasion. This followed President Trump's suggestion, who said talks are being held in Turkey later this week, probably on Thursday, and they could produce some pretty good results. The Kremlin has not confirmed Putin's attendance at the Thursday meeting, which is today, which he proposed after Western threats of sanctions of 30 days, ceasefire was not agreed upon, with the Institute for the Study of War noting Russia foreign officials claim a sit-down would be pure spectacle. U.S. envoys Steve Witkoff and Keith Kellogg and Secretary of State Marco Rubio will attend to help end the 3-year war, per familiar sources. And then obviously, Rob, if you got the clip, go on and play the clip here.
What happens on Thursday if President Putin doesn't show up in Turkey for the talks with Ukraine? What will you do?
Well, I don't know if he's showing up. I know he would like me to be there. And that's a possibility. If we could end the war, I'd be thinking about that. Now, tomorrow, we're all booked out. You understand that? We're all set.
But you move. He goes.
You eat tomorrow. And so we have a very full situation. Now, that doesn't mean I wouldn't do it to save a lot of lives and come back. But, yeah, I think they're thinking about something. I don't know that he would be there if I'm not there. We're going to find out. Marco's going. And Marco's been very effective.
Okay, so that's one, Rob. Do you have the other clip as well? The other clip about Ukraine and Russia can't even agree on who will meet for peace talks from the Wall Street Journal?
I have Fox News reporting on it. This, I believe, broke late last night, where it was announced that Putin will not be traveling.
Okay, go ahead and play this clip.
President Trump and his Russian counterpart, Vladimir Putin, will not attend tomorrow's peace talks between Kyiv and Moscow. That after learning that Putin was not on the list of attendees. A U.S. official said once we learned that, they took the president off the possible list of attendees as well. As for Ukraine's president, Vladimir Zelensky, well, he's on his way to Turkey. He earlier said he'd only take part in talks if Putin was present. President Trump, for his part, wants the two sides to sign a 30-day ceasefire deal. We'll see if...
Okay, so here's my question for you. Was Trump supposed to be there with Putin being there, or did Putin find out President Trump's not going to be there, so he backed out? Which one is it, Rob? Tom, do you know?
No, I don't.
That's the main question. Because to me, Adam, do you know or no? Do you know what the question I just asked? So I just asked the following question. So did Putin decide not to go because he found out the president is not fully committed to being there? Or did Putin last minute know that the president was going to be there and then all of a sudden canceled and said, I'm not going? And then the President Trump said, also, I'm also canceling, I'm not going.
No, I think it's pretty clear, in my opinion, that this comes down to one person, Putin not showing up. You telling me that if Putin agreed to show up, Trump would move everything in his schedule to get to, I think, Istanbul in this kitchen. He's in the Middle East already. This comes down to Putin. And then what did Zelensky say?
Why wouldn't Putin not show up?
Because he's not willing to come to the table.
Why not, though?
Because clearly he's not willing to end this war.
No. It's deeper than that. It's deeper than that. I can't just.
What do you think it is?
No, it's deeper than that, because I think Putin is. You can have 5 different bosses and have to negotiate with each of them in 5 different ways. You don't negotiate with each one the same exact way as you negotiate with the other one. If there's anybody that knows this, guess who this is? Trump knows this, 100%. I guarantee he already is thinking about what ways to do. Something is not adding up. His request was what? What was his request? His request is to some sort of a guarantee that they're not going to be going into NATO, right? That's one. There's a couple requests that Putin made. I'm not sure if those requests are being met. And also, I'm not sure if he is convinced that Zelensky is not going to use that moment to make a spectacle the way he did with Trump. And if Zelensky is going to act hardcore on the camera the way he did with Trump to go back and show his people strength, yeah, I don't. And by the way, remember, Putin is not one. Have you ever seen Putin animated speaking?
No.
Matter of fact, go on YouTube, Rob, type in Putin speaking animated. Just type in Putin speaking animated. Have you ever seen him speaking in a very animated way?
No, he's very
Never. You've heard others do that. Everything else is a meme. Go a little bit lower, Rob. Go a little bit lower, Rob. Keep going lower slowly. See, everything is a meme. There is no such thing as him speaking. Matter of fact, go to the one that says 1.8 million, Rob. Let's see what all the way to the right. All the way to the right. Let's see how he speaks there. Can you put some audio? I don't even want to know what he's saying. I just want to hear his tone. This is the most animated you'll see. Go back to the 4.5 million or the 5.4 million. There's one clip that was 5.4 million. Go a little bit lower, Rod, not those. Go lower, right there. That one that says 4.3 million. Click on that one. That's the most animated you'll see him. Okay? Have you ever seen him in a room forcing the business owner to sign? You ever seen him it says, take the pen and sign?
He goes, come here and give me back my pen.
Putin forces guy to sign, And even if you see the way he does this, is this it, Rob?
Yeah, that's it. That's it, the top one.
Is it the top one?
Yep. Okay. And there's audio on it, too.
Click on it and go closer to, I think it's like midway, where he forces the guy to sign. I think if I'm Putin, go right there. He says, well, do it without you. And the business owner is like, what are you talking about?
It's a billionaire. Deripaska sign an undertaking to restart
the factories.
Come here,
sign.
Вы подписали этот договор? Да. Олег Владимирович подписал? Что я не вижу вашей подписи? Идите, подпишите. Идите ко мне.
Иди сюда.
Billionaire. Come here.
Watch this.
Договор.
Here's agreement. Everyone's watching.
Give my pen. Give my pen. Give me back my pen.
Strong arm.
Classic Putin.
So you can pause it right here.
What did he do to that guy right there?
But let me tell you.
Took over his company?
No, he didn't take over the company. There was something he was doing that was not good for the employees, and he was taking. There was some sort of an abuse that was going on where he was kind of putting him in his place. But let me just make my point here. When you're a wiring like that, you have to make sure the other person understands the level of respect he wants from you if you're going to face him. And to me, Zelensky hasn't shown that he's capable of doing that. I think he trusts Trump because he sees Trump as an equal. I think he sees Zelensky as a way over his head type of guy.
Puppet he was put there.
Yeah, and
I fully agree with you on that.
And I think that's the reason why he doesn't want to go there. If you have the private conversations together, again, guys, I'm this is pure
speculation in your opinion.
My opinion, and I'm telling you this, my opinion. I think if there was a call that they had, and by the way, you know what else it is? You can't say this to Trump. So I can't even say that to you that, hey, if he acts like that, I almost think Trump needs to be proactive to tell him, hey, if he acts like that, I'm going to put him in his place. You don't need to say anything. And he needs to get that reassurance that Zelensky doesn't do a photo op bullshit that he did last time when he was in the White House. And that message would come from me if I'm Trump. And I'm going to call Zelensky and I'm going to say, listen, let me tell you what's going to happen here. I swear to God, if you try to make it into a spectacle, you're not going to like what I'm going to do to you.
Good.
But if you're going to be respectful and you want your people to live and no more dying, I need you to behave accordingly. Don't use this as a photo op the way you did in the White House. It's going to be very bad for you. I think the president needs to call Zelensky. Then he needs to call Putin to say, I had the call with Zelensky. You don't have to worry about that. Let's come at the table together and let's figure out a way to do this. I think that'll make the president, that'll make President Putin more open to the idea. Again, I'm just purely speculating. I'm not on the inside. I'm not talking to any of these guys. I'm just giving some of my thoughts here.
I actually fully agree with you. I think if you're talking about bosses and you know Trump is daddy, you're talking like that. Zelensky is the weird sort of coked out stepson, and you're looking at Putin, who's an absolute boss. And I get that he's not our ally at all. I want to be very clear about that to all the Putin fanatics out there. He's not our ally, but that doesn't mean you can't respect the guy. So you look at Rob. I sent you something. You look at the video that we just did of Putin, and then you look at this video of Zelensky. You think Putin respects this guy?
I thought that was fake, by the way.
No, this is
really
actually a
him.
real video.
Jeez.
You got junk in the trunk right there, Zelensky. So I totally understand why Putin is looking at Zelensky and be like, this is who you want me to respect and negotiate?
I don't even think that's what it is.
Well, that's a part of it.
No,
that video exists.
No, I don't think that's what it is.
But part of it is this.
That's what it is.
Part of it is this.
Yeah.
It's not negotiating with Zelensky. Zelensky's a pawn, literally. It's negotiating with Trump and the United States. It's negotiating with NATO. It's negotiating with the EU. The entire world, the democratic Western world, is against Russia. And Russia's just throwing up their middle finger saying, we're not coming to the table. So, they're going to basically have Lil Bro Zelensky show up. And I fully agree with you what you're saying, PBD, is that this better not be a photo op situation. If I leave Moscow and show up, it's to get stuff done, not for some photo op situation, right?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, Tom, did you have any thoughts on this or not really?
Yeah, I mean, look, Zelensky is just Zelensky, and that's not what Putin is all about. Putin is all about, you kept moving NATO toward me, and I told you I didn't want that, and you pushed and you pushed and you pushed, and the neocons among you pushed. Says, if you want to stop this thing, Crimea is mine. The Russian-speaking area of the occupation, Donbas and other things, those are Russians. And we're redrawing it. And that everyone says, no, you can't do that. And then we're going to stay at war. Because the neocons want to stay at war with Russia. Of
course.
They want to keep pushing it. They want the war. War is profitable. And there's other things going on with, on the corruption scoreboard. Ukraine was listed 5 years ago as the most corrupt country in Europe.
Weird.
In terms of everything from trade deals to industry
Ukraine
kickbacks.
is?
Ukraine is
behind one other country, though. Russia.
Yep.
Russia, number one corrupt. Ukraine, number two. Good point.
Correct. And so now you've got the two most corrupt guys going together, and Putin calls this off, but he gets Crimea, he gets the Russian-speaking area occupation, and Ukraine doesn't go to NATO. And if that happens, this is over tomorrow. Is that the right answer? I don't know. But if that happens tomorrow, then you have this. And Zelensky, I just don't think, when they have peace, what happens to Zelensky the next election?
He's gone.
Oh yeah.
Oh, I
so
never wanna
this is
see that
his
guy again.
this is his career move. Zelensky needs the war to keep relevant, and he doesn't care how many people in his own country are dying.
Yeah.
And he would rather
doesn't.
rather have peace talks in Colombia, right? So there's things we understand.
So you think there's a part of Zelensky that actually doesn't want to stop the war and just wants to stay in power?
Absolutely.
I think
and
so.
he's got alignment with the military-industrial complex of the West who love it that their own
If
governments
that is
print money.
his state of mind, then that is the worst thing that I've ever heard.
Well,
and I'm not denying it. I'm not agreeing with it. I'm just saying, if he actually wants to keep the war going, so he can stay in power, that is the definition of a piece of shit.
But Adam, exactly. But here's the thing, Adam. Look at for the past 4 years what they did, bro. They did a montage of him at the Oscars, and they made this guy so big and so popular because of the money laundering situation that's happening over there. You don't think that he wants a Democrat? By the way, you know he's hanging in there because he wants the next president of this country to be a Democrat. Because when's the last time he came here and begged for money and we gave him $1? We're not giving him shit.
Well, we
Trump
just did
isn't
the
giving
mineral
him
deal with Trump.
No,
That
it's
was
a
the
mineral.
whole concept.
It's a mineral deal, but hold on. We just gave them $250 billion. What do we get in return? You know what I mean?
I think. Listen, when you meet with a killer, and I don't mean literally like killer,
like Tom.
No, when you meet with a killer in business, and killers sit down and I'll never forget. I met with another guy in business and insurance that it was full on war. And Adam, you even knew about this at the time. If you remember, we're at Boca Raton one time where some of the incidents were taking place.
Yep.
That Bob had to get involved in. Tom clearly remembers about this. I remember our first meeting where we met. It was respect. He says, listen, man, let me tell you how I am. I'm the type of guy that if we got a problem, let's go hash it out together in the back. I said, perfect. I'm like that as well. What do you want to do? Do you know today how close we are?
Mm-hmm.
Do you know if he calls me and we speak, straight up on the same page? He's not a game guy. Now, another guy in business back in the days who was such a manipulative, deceptive game guy, he called the last 50 phone calls, he's called me. I have no interest to talk to him. You know why? Because he's full of shit is what he is. So in this instance, if somebody was to broker a deal for us to meet and I'm supposed to have that guy be there, I don't believe him. He's a liar. He's a manipulator. He's deceptive. Great speaker, very talented, but he's a very deceptive manipulator. Nothing that ever came out of his mouth, he ever kept his word. The other guy who's a bigger boss, whatever came out of his mouth, he kept his word. So if it's like, I'm going to kill you, I believe you. Oof. Versus the other guy says, oh man, if I had my way of investing $10 million with you, you know I would have. He's so full of shit. I don't believe any flattery that came from this guy. I take this other guy for, so to me in this case, Zelensky is not a guy that he believes he will keep his word for anything. And I think he believes Trump. So I think this is a real deal that Trump and Putin need to work out, and I think they will because both of them are tough guys. They're going to figure it out. But after the minerals deal being signed, Trump probably also made a promise to Zelensky that we don't know about that protects Zelensky. I don't know what that is that he thinks he's going to get for them. And then Putin may be like, why are you making a promise to him before talking to me? And that may be a problem because that one thing that Trump may be asking for Putin to discount for Zelensky, Putin's like, why are you negotiating on my behalf with Zelensky? So I don't know. I don't know what happened there. Sometimes power players don't like it when another power player negotiates on their behalf without them confirming it. I never said yes to that. Why'd you do that? I would never agree to that. Well, da-da-da-da-da. So, hey, let's do it for the people. I don't know. This is very complex, that I think 90% of this is the conversations that are being behind closed doors that nobody in the world knows about except the people that are there involved in politics. And maybe we'll never even find out. All right, let's go to the next story. Let's talk market. Inflation eased more than expected in April, slowing to the lowest level since 2021. And obviously, this is the kind of stuff that the market's not going to be reporting on too much because why would they want to report on stuff like this? The Consumer Price Index, CPI, increased the seasonally adjusted 0.2 in April with the year-over-year inflation rate rising 2.3%, lowest since February of 2021. Core CPI also rose 0.2 as reported by the Bureau of Labor Statistics. Peter Earle, Director of Economics at the American Institute of Economic Research, said the April CPI report suggests that inflationary pressures in the U.S. economy remain moderate and relatively well maintained. You know what this is leading to if it goes like this. Peter also said headline inflation rose by 0.2% on a month, slight pickup from March, but still indicative of disinflationary trend compared to the high inflation period of 2021 to 2022. The fact that nearly 40% of core components posted monthly decline points to underlying softness in the consumer pricing power, with shelter costs driving more core inflation, while leisure services like airfare and hotel lodging saw price declines. Obviously, if this continues, Tom, you know what happens next. Go ahead and tell us, Tom.
Well, Powell just told us a week ago that, hey, interest rates weren't going to come down. I'm going to stay right where I am. And I think the economy is okay. So there's nothing in the economy like crazy unemployment or, crazy inflation that would lead him to say, wow, let me just drop these prices down. Not happening. And what's interesting is this guy said pressures in the U.S. remain moderate and well contained. Boy, that's not kind of what you hear from the mainstream media. Tariffs are going to kill you. Tariffs are going to do this. Well, wow, things are there. Now, the tariffs are in place, and we have to get, and I'll speak first and foremost on this, Pat, China, jobs for America, less reliant on China, long-term progress. That's what we need. We don't just need to have all the tariff talk and then the market gets back to normal and then we're all happy. The long-term thing is jobs and manufacturing in America and lower our reliance on China. Don't take our eye off the ball. And there still may be some pain to come. But right now, the inflation is under control. And by the way, going into the summer, airfare and hotels coming down. Airfare is being helped, Vinny, by fuel. So if oil is down, then fuel's down, and then the airline can give you a little bit better deal on your trip to wherever you want to go. Hop on Southwest and go to some place and enjoy yourself. And so that's what's going on right now. And it also means that interest rates are probably not going to go down. So the housing market on the buyer's side is probably not going to get any help on interest rates soon, but it's good news that the rest of the economy, that inflation came in lower than they thought. And by the way, lowest since 2021.
Weird.
When a stumbling, and I say this accurately, a stumbling, often incoherent, allegedly not in the seat, and several marbles short of a bag was causing inflation to go bonkers.
Well, what a difference 2 weeks makes, because at the 100-day mark, we all kind of graded Trump, and collectively we gave him sort of a C, C minus, what have you.
B+.
Vinny's already given him A++++.
I knew what was coming. I said, let him cook.
However, 2 weeks later, Trump has had an amazing week, and the numbers are in that favor. In 2 weeks, I've turned it from a C minus to a B+. You look at what's going on here. People say, it's the Trump slump. The economy's falling apart. We've been saying forever, play the long game. How long is this going to take? Don't look now. It's now the Trump bump. So, is it tariffs? Is it tactics? Is it bulls? Is it bears? Is it red? Is it green? Are the markets up or are they down? Well, don't look now. And Tom highlighted this as well. The market is now officially up since Trump took office. The S&P 500 wipes out 2025's losses as stocks extend rally. Now it's not up big, but is no longer in negative territory since Trump has taken office. So you couple that with the fact that inflation and CPI is actually improving, the best number since 2021. Inflation, unemployment, the rates are pretty stabilized. Things are looking great in Trump world, and now the next move is going to be on Jerome Powell to see if he actually takes Trump's advice and cuts the rate. But Trump's grade has just gotten way better in 2 weeks.
And also back, grocery prices, biggest decline 5 years. Just happened under Trump. Remember that.
By the way, let me put it to you this way. For me, my prediction is, brace for impact, folks. I believe 2026 will be one of the top 3, maybe top 5 greatest years we've had in the history of America since 1776. Wow. Let me say it one more time. I believe 2026 will be a magical year. Let me explain to you why. First, it's going to be our 250-year anniversary, okay? celebration.
Happy birthday, America.
That's unbelievable. Beautiful that we, as a democracy, made it this far, this long. It's not easy to do because most people, when you hand them a democracy, what do? The people destroyed within. And many times people have made an effort for that to happen. Thank God we have a person right now, a leader right now that's going around fighting the fight and leading the way and setting the record straight as America is the greatest country in the world where there's respect and there's fear and there's likability and the desire to want to do business with them. On top of that, you know what else happens in 2026? The World Cup is coming here. The world is going to be watching America. Guys, I just got the chills. Next year is going to be the most magical year we've ever had in our lives in America. If you're living in America, whatever you're doing, play offense. It's going to be very special next year. This year's going to be still disruptive. It's still going to be unpredictable. These deals still got to get done. Some of the stuff is still unpredictable. But next year, the way he's going to do with the World Cup in U.S., can you imagine all the world leaders he'll bring here? All the MBSs come here. All the people that are the presidents, prime ministers, everybody's going to come here. You're going to see picture, props, events, parties. You're going to see stuff like we've never, ever seen before in 250-year anniversary. You know what happened in Iran? The 2,500-year anniversary was also a spectacle when it happened. And he spent a lot of money on that event when it was a 2,500-year anniversary. I think President Trump's going to probably put a big ceremony and invite 150 world leaders, dignitaries, one by one. They're going to come here to a party, to an event by the White House. He's going to host it somewhere. And you're going to see IPOs next year will be on fire. You're going to see economy on fire. Again, folks, Brian Callen was here a couple months ago. He says, how many of your predictions come true? He says, 51%. He says, that's all you need. That's
right.
I'm like, listen, what do you want me to do? But I'm convinced next year it's going to be special. Brace for impact when it happened next year. I think it's going to be magical.
I fully agree with you, PBD. By the way, just in terms of dates, July 4th is our 250th birthday. Trump also turns 80 right before that. And then when is the World Cup? The exact same time in late June, early July. All boom, going on.
Special 2026. Folks, get ready. It's going to be magical. All right, next story I want to go to. I was going to go to this story, but I don't think it's appropriate to go now. I'm going to go to the story of that later, and you'll see why I skipped it for a quick minute. But we will come back to it. Stephen A. Smith is not happy with Jasmine Crockett for opposing Trump on everything. Rob, if you got this clip to play, here is Stephen A. Smith. He's got one that's about criticizing Chuck, but this one is specifically Jasmine Crockett. Go for it.
I've listened to Jasmine Crockett. Both AOC and Jasmine Crockett are welcomed on this show. I respect the hell out of both of them. I'm not here to disrespect anybody. I'm only talking about what strategy is going to work. When I hear Jasmine Crockett talking about how I'm just against all things and everything Trump, is that legislating? Isn't it an obligation that you have to come up with something? If the other party is in office, you have to go from thinking that you're going to get what you want if your party was in the White House, and instead transitioning to how can I work with the other party to get some of what I want, because I know I'm not going to get most of what I want because they won the election. How do
Actually, even that small little 47 seconds, he's making a very, very good point about Jasmine Crockett. Vinny, what are your thoughts on this?
I mean, listen, I like Stephen A. I like the sports talk, and you know, he's a great freaking. He's the best in the game.
You're not with it. You're not.
I'm not
Just
buying,
because he didn't vote for Trump and support him?
No, it's the flip flop of every single person.
You're calling Stephen A. a flip flopper.
Just a couple months ago when they were
called
sitting
LeBron
here,
a flopper. And Stephen A. a flip-flopper?
Let's just be...
Don't get it twisted.
Enemies,
LeBron
bro.
is the greatest flopper of all time.
He doesn't know the flame. I'm just saying...
Have a little respect. He won an Oscar, bro.
Can he finish? Go ahead.
Oh, now we know how it
Every
feels.
single one... Are you done? Every single one of these guys that were on the left, every guy's girl, now from the Chanks to the Stephen A's, to the Chris Cuomo's, to all these people. I'm not buying it at all, okay? And you say this all the time, it's the market. What does the market want? They're shifting because of the market. Listen, with all due respect, I'm not buying none of that shit from none of them, okay? Because they were still on Kamala, they were still on Biden, they're still on that anti-American bullshit sentiment. Because if you want to put in people like Biden and you want to put in people like if you voted for Kamala Harris, what the hell do you even stand on? What was your thing? Just not Trump. So it just shifted. All that Trump hating, he's the worst, he's Hitler. I'm not saying Steven said this, but all of them were anti-Trump. We've been saying Trump is this guy since when? Since 2016. We've had this guy's back. And it's not just blind loyalty, Tom. It wasn't that. It was the proof in the pudding. He came in with Russia collusion, Obama and all these guys freaking spying on him. He had all this shit. He had COVID. He had all this stuff, a Russian asset, all that bullshit Putin talk, all right? And then now he's back. Everybody voted for him, and they're all changing their tune because they have to. Because what is he supposed to do, Tom? Sit there and be like this? Nah. I think Kamala, would have done a good job. And Jasmine, Crockett, and all these people, once they're in office, guys, what are they going to do? And I keep going back to this. What's going to happen to the border, Tom? You put AOC in charge. You put Jasmine Crockett in charge. You put any of these Democrats in charge. What are they going to do? That's my number one thing.
What Stephen A is saying, that's why they're not the ones that should be in office because they're extreme. That's what Stephen A is saying. Stephen A is saying, if you're showing that everything Trump does is wrong, at least Stephen A will go out there and last year, he will criticize the left and he'll criticize the right, but he still voted for the left. And right after voting for it, comes out and says, hey,
So he didn't see it, but here's my thing, Pat. He didn't see any of this. Just because of this win, now all of a sudden he sees the light?
I'm fully with you because there's a clip. Listen, I understand what you're saying.
I'm just not buying it.
I get everything what you're saying. I'm with you.
Yeah.
There is a clip, Rob, that if you can find it, it's such a great clip. It's a clip of Scott Jennings is talking to this guy, and the guy says, well, I'm a Democrat, and I wasn't for the border. He said, did you vote for Kamala Harris? If you did, you were for the border because we were not for the border. So don't tell me you're not for the border, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I get what you're saying. However, if Cenk is all of a sudden getting a little bit more reasonable, is that a bad thing?
No.
If Stephen A is getting a little bit more reasonable and seeing the BS, is that a bad thing? If they're going that direction, is that a bad thing? I don't know.
Hold on, and I'll come to you. I don't think it's a bad thing, guys. I don't think it's a bad thing, but it's like, let's be realistic. I don't think, like, the talk of presidency, I don't think Stephen A has a chance with the Democratic National, that monster, that beast. The real people are going to be the AOCs, the Bernie Sanders, those type of, the JB Pritzkers, who do not, guys, they are snakes in the grass. I don't want to give them the Gavin Newsoms.
You could say that about them. Do you feel the same way about Stephen A?
No. I think Steve. I don't think he has a chance. I don't think he has a chance.
He's shown 7%, by the way. Higher than a lot of other guys.
But do you think that the real base, the real Democratic base, is going to let that disruptor?
No, I don't think they're going to. But also at the same time, if we go back to 2015. When Ann Coulter was asked by Bill Maher today, if you had to vote for who do you think is going to be winning, and he said Trump, and everybody started laughing.
Yeah.
All I'm saying is, I'm not saying to you, if Trump goes the way he's going right now, it's very hard for the country to flip to Democrat. Very, very hard. Like, they would have to choose a candidate to screw up so royally that they can't win, like a J.D. Vance or something. That person would screw it up. But if America's doing so well, I don't think they're going the other side. Tom, thoughts?
So I agree with you, and there's a lot of Democrat politicians, and I said it. I said it last Tuesday, and I said it one week ago, not Thursday, but Tuesday prior. I said they are running to the center to portray themselves as edible to a hungry voter. Right. So but there's two people in there that I think I'm hearing emotion in their voice, and I'm hearing them say this: you're doing it wrong. And that's what I'm hearing. And you know who I hear that from? I hear that from Stephen A. and I hear it from James Carville. Those are the two. Says, is that the way you're going to say it? Is that the way you're going to do? Then just get out of the gosh darn country. Go. So now Carville and Stephen A, probably don't have a ton in common, but they're both saying the same thing in a slightly different way. They're saying, you're doing it wrong and this isn't going to do. And Stephen A is encouraging them to try and work with them, work to the middle and get what you want. Now, does that mean underneath that Stephen A is about to become MAGA? No. But I think both him and Carville are out there just screaming, hey, you guys, you're doing it wrong. And meanwhile, I do not trust those other ones because I think they will come in with the executive order pen. They will undo a lot of things and not realize that they're going to cause dominoes to fall back in the wrong direction on themselves and America.
Yeah, but Don, I agree with you 100%. But my thing is, all these guys, the Carvilles, everything, it's our messaging is wrong. We lost the base, but the policies, when you strip all that down, when you strip all this like showboating now, it's like, oh, we were wrong. Strip it down to what the Democratic Party has actually become.
Policies,
Pat. That's who they are. Okay, they're going to be open border. They're going to be transgender. They're going to be all that shit.
This clip.
I don't want it.
Watch this clip. Go for it.
Previous administration had priorities about who to let in, including, all kinds of folks who I would argue shouldn't be here. This administration, I guess, is going to set priorities about who not to let in.
But let's just be honest about what those priorities are, right? And by the way, I'm a Democrat here. I did not defend the Biden administration on immigration.
But you voted for him. So
that doesn't mean that I defended him on
immigration. You voted for a continuation of it in 2024, did you not?
I did not vote for his policies on immigration.
But you voted
to
extend the immigration policies of the last administration.
No, I did not vote for that.
The point is, you're in a party that opened the borders, and I'm in a party that closed the borders, and I think the American people prefer our way.
Well, he's closed the borders.
Crushed it. But here's the point, though. Yeah. What I'm saying to you is, I think in here, a guy like a Stephen A. agrees with Scott Jennings.
Now, right?
Yeah, but there are Democrats that are Democrats for different reasons. So, for example, if I ask you right now, so there's 5 Yankees fans. Do you think 5 Yankees fans are all Yankees fans for the same reasons?
No.
Why are reasons somebody becomes a fan?
Your father was a fan.
Your father was a
Aaron
Yankee.
Judge.
I love a player.
You love a player.
You saw a movie. You're Joe DiMaggio.
From New York.
You watched the movie.
Mickey Mantle.
From Yonkers.
Maybe you bought Mickey Mantle's $10 million card like PBD.
But the point is, the affinity to a sports team is not all the same, right? Okay. Why are you did you vote Republican? You vote for Trump.
Well, I'm an independent. I vote for Trump 100%.
Why? Give me in order of policies.
Why?
Number 1.
Policy, border was absolutely first. Border.
Number
Putting
1.
America first. Loving the country. Stepping up to everybody in the world with our trade with China.
Number 1 is what? Number 1 is border. What's 2?
Number 1 is border. 2 is holding China accountable.
What's 3?
Those are the top 2 for me.
Okay, Tom, what's your top 3?
My top 3 was the first 2 are right related together. Close the border to stabilize America. Second, America first, not America alone, but America first. It says, and third, I was in favor of, resetting international trade.
Boom. Okay. So, Adam, let's see. Is yours going to be identical to them? Because they're on the same
No, mine is totally different. Number 1, he wasn't Kamala, and he's an actual man, and he's a leader. Number 2 was the border. Number 3 was peace through strength. I thought that whether it was
Rob,
Joe Biden
yours?
or Kamala, they were very weak.
Rob, what's yours?
Border, economy, safety.
Yeah. I would put woke agenda with the kids was one of my main ones.
For sure.
I'm sick and tired of the manipulation of what they were doing with girls and all this other stuff. And, the fact that for us to have somebody that I'm supporting to negotiate on my behalf all day long, 100 out of 100 times, I want him negotiating on my behalf. I trust him to negotiate on my behalf than anybody else that's out there right now as a candidate, right? Okay, what's the point? You think Stephen A. Smith is a Democrat for the same reason that Pritzker is a Democrat?
No.
You think Stephen A. Smith's a Democrat, same reason why Jasmine Crockett is a Democrat? You think Stephen A. Smith is a Democrat because, AOC is a Democrat? I saw a post the other day. It said, in 1960s, this was a Democrat. It's a picture of John F. Kennedy.
Yep.
Today, this would be a conservative. Then it says, today, it was a picture of AOC. This is a liberal. But in 1960s, this would be considered a communist.
Yep.
So just think about like some of the things that they're talking about and how much things have changed. So to him, he may be where he's at as an African American to leave a party like that as an African American is going to be very challenging. And remember, the night is still young. You don't know what's going to happen with his relationship with Trump. You don't know what's going to happen with a lot of other things. And there may be a multiple stepping stone. There may be something in 2028 as a job, then 2032, then 2036. This is not like it's a 4-year play. Stephen A. Smith's political career may be a 12-year plan, not a 4-year plan. If you understand what I'm saying.
Agree.
So that is the part where we don't yet know. Did you ever think that RFK was going to join Trump's camp?
No.
Did you ever think Tulsi's going to flip after her going up against Hillary Clinton? Did you ever think some of the stuff that happened was going to happen? There was so many weird things that happened the last 18 months that took place.
Yes.
Night is still young. And for me, I can differentiate and isolate everybody else where you sit there and you have to say, I was wrong.
Yep.
Trump is better for America. For a person to be able to say that, half the people there's a scene one time with Trump's in court. Mm-hmm. And this guy in court, you ever seen this court like from 30 years ago?
Oh, wait.
The one where the guy says, well, you said this. That's not right. That's not right. Correct yourself.
He makes them.
I never said this.
Yeah.
I never said this. I never said this.
Just correct it.
Apologize. I want to see an apology. And do you see when the man apologizes what Trump does within half a second? You know what Trump's reaction is? Rob, can you please find this clip? Have you guys ever seen this or no?
You said
Trump demands. You've never seen it. You have to see it.
It wasn't a deposition, right? He's in front of
Trump demands
Congress.
Apology.
I don't think it was a lawyer. In court, Robert. You find it on X,
court.
bro.
It is so. It's old. This is an old footage, Rob. I don't know if you found it or not.
I'm still looking.
Okay. Anyway, so he goes there.
Set the table, PBD.
And
what
he
was
says,
going on?
huh?
Set the table. What was going on? He was in court?
No, I mean, I just typed in Trump demands apology in court, old footage, and I can't find it. But if you see it, you'll see the way he handled himself.
I saw it. It was awesome.
What did he say to the guy when he apologized?
He says, correct yourself. That's not true. I never said that. I never said that. I demand an apology. And he says, well, you didn't say that. But this, I demand an apology. And then the person finally says, I apologize. I found it. Here you go.
Yeah.
I found it. Yeah, this is the one. Rob, I'm going to send it to you if you want to play this clip. But there's a point I'm making with this. There's a point I'm making with this, Rob. If you want to play this, this is in a 2000 hearing that took place.
About like real
He's in
estate and
court,
stuff?
Standing against a senator demanding an apology. Watch this. Go for it.
You have a long way to go. And for whatever reason, you have a closed mind. I don't know why. Perhaps you could tell me.
Against evidence that is not substantiated. I have a closed mind against statements that are made about other people in generality.
You're going to be very embarrassed in 2 years, sir.
You go on a radio show and you say, now some drunken Indians want to come down here and open a residence.
I didn't say that, sir. Quote it. I didn't say that. Who said that? Who said that? I'd like an apology right now because I didn't say that.
Excuse me, Mr. Imus said.
Excuse me, Mr. Imus.
Okay, could I please have an apology?
You can have an apology.
Thank you, sir.
Boom. But watch what happened right there. What happened? What's the moral of the story, Rob? You can play that. Stop.
Apologize and moved on.
That's it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
How long did it take?
Half a second.
Maybe.
And he called him sir. Thank you, sir.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Thank you, sir. Moved on. So I think we need to go into that.
Yes.
Thank you, move on, boom. Instead of, no, but da-da-da-da-da. We're not going to make progress there. The part is like, even right now, watch how you would feel. Watch this. Fauci gets up and he does a video and he says, I have something to say. I want to apologize for the way we handle certain things with COVID. The buck stops with me. I take full responsibility. There are many things I would have done differently. It breaks my heart that many parents weren't able to go and see their grandparents who were dying because of hospitals and the policies that we have. At this phase of my life, this is something I've struggled with. I did my best to try to serve the country that I love the most, that gave me this opportunity. I wanted to make the Fauci family proud. I wanted to make my father proud. And any leader, every one of us makes a lot of mistakes. This was one of the ones that I make. And I hope you receive my apology, even though I know many of you won't. How would you feel if he said that?
I would feel fantastic. And then right after, I want to put his ass in jail for the rest of his life. Plain and simple. I want accountability. I would accept the apology.
The accountability for sure.
Yeah. Oh, I would respect the honesty.
Let me ask you another question. You ever read Bush's book?
No.
George Bush. You ever read Bush's book? George Bush wrote a book. And in the book, he explains the mistakes he made as a president. That's the one right there. What is decision points? He explains the mistakes he made. Now, everybody that writes their books, you go and you're reading it, well, you know, what he did here and what he did there. It's actually a pretty good book when I read it, okay, with some of the mistakes that he made. You know, the Fauci part is massive.
Yeah.
However, I also do think, like, the way Trump just met with a former Al-Qaeda guy.
Yeah. Yeah.
Do you think that guy belongs in jail?
Of course. What do you mean? Even
How come he didn't
worse.
put him in jail? So is Trump a bad leader?
No, I don't think he's a bad leader. But I mean, the guy's in charge of the freaking country.
No, I understand that. All I'm saying to you is, should he have removed the sanctions? That's a form of jail.
Who?
Should Trump have removed the economic sanctions on Syria? See, that's the part, Vinny, that the part about forgive and forget, right? You can forgive. You don't ever forget. If we go through this phase of holding, Trump used to be a Democrat at one point. Do we want to go through all the stuff he did in the past? Do we want to hold him accountable for everything with the stuff that came out? I think that's going to constantly. Now, accountability, Fauci's on my top list. When I think of guys that I want to hold accountable. Till today, I want to know what happened with the Epstein list. I want to know what happened with 9/11. I want to know, we've never done a presidential hearing for 9/11. We've never had a presidential hearing.
Unbelievable.
And do you know the hearing that they did? They got rid of the 2.5 terabytes of footage that they had the other day. We had the whistleblower here telling us all these different stories, who was on the payroll, what they knew about all these weird things. We spent $30 million in the late 90s investigating Monica Lewinsky, but we only spend, and by the way, how many people died under Monica Lewinsky? This many people. Matter of fact, someone's health even got better under Monica Lewinsky, right? But under Monica Lewinsky, that's what happens to Monica Lewinsky, Clinton. We spent $30 million to investigate that. Few years later, 9/11 happens. Do you know how much they spent investigating that? Legal? $15 million. Monica Lewinsky, $30 million. 9/11, $15 million.
Wow.
2,977 people, I believe, died on 9/11. Pearl Harbor, you know how many people died? 2,403. 9/11 was the worst single event in the history of America. We only spent $15 million to investigate it. Yeah, I kind of want to know more on what happened, especially today, right? To see who was really behind it. But some of this stuff is for me to know. That's all I want to know. I want to know what happened, and I want to move on. All I'm saying is, just because somebody is giving certain policies, it doesn't mean they're in the same box and category as everybody else. If Stephen A. goes through a evolution of this process and all of a sudden in the next 24 months he comes out and he says, look, I see myself as a center-right. There's many policies that I'm on the social side, but a lot of policies for me lean more towards the conservative side. So I had to choose. I would have probably run as an independent, but I know as an independent you don't stand a chance. I'm running as a Republican. Then what do you do?
That's Stephen A. Smith?
Yeah.
I mean, if he's going to run on that policy, good. I think it's a good thing.
You give him a fair chance?
I'd give him a fair shot.
Okay, so what I'm saying is be patient.
Oh, yeah.
So we don't know what's going to happen. Be patient. The conversion process requires the community to be patient and willing to allow others to see. Some see later. We have relatives that gave their lives to Christ on their deathbed. And we have people that gave their life to Christ. Tico one day comes up to me and says, I want to get baptized on the beach. I said, you do? Yeah. Dylan says, I want to get baptized.
Yeah.
Who walked up with him?
Me.
That's right. Well, who did he see get baptized?
Me.
And then afterwards, he got inspired.
Mm-hmm.
And he said, I want to do it on my own. I said, whenever you're ready. How old was he when he did that? When did you do it?
2 years ago.
He was 9 years old when he did it. But he did it.
Yep.
But some do it at 82 on their deathbed. Who's right?
Who's
wrong?
Nobody's wrong.
Dude, it's be patient.
Mm-hmm.
Be patient. That's the part where I think I am so impressed with the way he's leading. I mean, it is so impressive with the way he's leading. I'm specifically talking about Trump. It's so impressive the way he's leading. Where on one end, he can chew out somebody saying, you're ABC fake news. On one end, he can say, Reuters, these guys, you can't be in the plane because what you're doing is BS. On the other end, he can go and sit down with Saudi, Qatar, and these leaders and try to find a way to bring peace in the Middle East. You really think the guys on the military side, and by the way, the way he did it, it's so interesting the way he did it. So he goes, brings peace, and then signs a $143 billion what deal? Military deal.
Yeah.
So he does it in a way that the military guys are making money and there is no war. Did you understand the way he's doing it? So, because he also doesn't want these bullshit lobbyists from the military side to come out and be upset about it. Hey, y'all come out, let's do peace, but you got to buy this much and you got to buy $500 billion of other stuff. It's very interesting how he's getting the team of rivals to all want to do business together. This is a clinic that everybody has to watch the way he's doing his second term than the first term. It's a clinic, the way he's doing it. Anyways, let's get to Adam. Were you going to say something?
Yeah, I just want to weigh in on essentially the Stephen A. thing and how Vinny was kind of commenting on that. I think the speech that you gave to Vinny was very powerful because it's about the ability to forgive and adjust and evolve. You know, Stephen A. Smith, someone who did not vote for Trump, he is now basically coming over to the other side. He said, you know, you don't preach to the converted, you don't preach to the choir, you preach to basically independence. And why did Trump win, lose, and then win the election is because basically politics is a game of addition, not subtraction. He convinced people in the middle, the movable middle, hey man, listen, come over to my way of thinking. And you have to give someone like Stephen A. Smith the grace and the respect to say, yeah, maybe you were wrong about who you voted for, but welcome to our team. If you alienate them and say, you're an idiot, you didn't vote for the right person, you're never going to win people over. You know, they say you got to check yourself before you wreck yourself. Well, he checked himself. And something that I've learned from PBD is, PBD, correct me if I'm wrong, how often do you say, America is very forgiving? People will tear you down, but then if you apologize, they help build you back up. One of the best messages.
That's a Christian quality.
Yeah. One of the best messages I hear from people is like, man, 4 years ago, 5 years ago, I couldn't stand you. But man, thank you for coming around. Thank you for being reasonable. Thank you for having the ability to adapt. What do we say here all the time? Outwork, out-improve, out-strategize, outlast. Stephen A. Smith is evolving. And you have to give people the ability to evolve over time.
It'll be interesting. It'll be interesting to see what happens here as he maneuvers. And if he tries to win over the Democratic Party, I think it's going to be very challenging to do so. But we'll see. We'll see what's going to happen there. All right. So next story. Vinny is... Vinny, you're not going to be happy with this next story, but I'm going to have to go to it anyways.
What?
Assisted dying bill moves forward. And not only does this bill move forward, they're allowing people to make recommendations of individuals.
So wait, so if I want somebody to get killed, like if I want somebody dead,
I would recommend such and such. Consider that. All right, so let's go. So
yeah,
political.
I got a great recommendation for you, buddy. Yeah, what's that?
Voting off Earth.
The Medical Aid and Dying Act passed by Assembly last month awaits a Senate vote with Majority Leader Andrea Stewart Cousins, I don't think any relations to DeMarcus, stating, I'm happy that the conversation is starting around death and dying and promising to bring the bill to the floor once her conference secures enough support, noting 25 senators currently sponsor the bill, which needs 32 votes to pass. Aid in Dying Advocates, led by Corinne Carey, Senior Campaign Director for Compassion and Choices, really, observed growing Democratic support, with Carey noting Stewart Cousins is engaged in a way this year that she's never been before, while some Democratic senators would vote for the bill if it reaches the floor, but hesitate to sponsor. Tom, what do you think about this assisted dying bill moving forward? And this is a story by Politico.
And this is in New York, okay? So this is in New York. And New York had assisted dying thanks to the mafia for a long time. But it was...
Way to go, Tom, with the joke.
Yeah, so I'll be here all week. Yeah. No, I don't like it. And here's what I don't like about it. The Assisted Dying Act basically puts something in the hands of the government that maybe someday could be used the wrong way. We live in a time where boomers are living longer. We got a lot of people in Social Security, and we're going to have a lot of economic strength. The future looks bright, but the future is not without problems to be solved, and some of them are big problems, like the number of people that will be on Social Security and Medicare and what it's going to cost when they're there. And what do you do with them who are destitute, that don't have family, and then they have Alzheimer's, and they're in facilities, and the government's paying for that? Well, let me tell you, other countries have run into this, and tiny countries in the Benelux region of Europe have basically just said, well, then at some point in time, we just, we give them the needle. euthanasia. You know, an 85-year-old person who's destitute and
Would
all
you say,
like
Tom?
this.
Wait, euthanasia, like young people in Asia.
No, euthanasia, as in.
Why's you got to be worried about the youth in Asia?
Oh yeah, here we go.
Have you ever seen Ali G?
Here we go.
What's the?
Ali G.
Let him finish his point.
So I want to know about the
we're
youth in
seeing it.
Asia.
But we're seeing it, and I believe it was Netherlands that basically got to the point that said, look, you know, if they're old, destitute, a burden to
Are
society.
you for it, Tom?
I'm not for it because everything I'm talking about, like Netherlands and things, this, you put something on the books that you think it's good. Oh, well, people can choose. You can do like this, and doctors can. Well, what does the doctor choose if you have no family there? And what if you're not the one that was choosing it? You are, you know, old, infirm, and it's people around you making the decision for you. Once you put this on the books, it can be used in bad ways, which is why I don't like it.
And
Okay, let me ask you. These are some of the folks out there that are campaigning. You mean to tell me like this wouldn't convince you to support it, Rob, if you can show the picture? Vote yes to assisted dying.
Huh.
Look at the lady in the middle who, all the way in the middle to the left, pink. Can you go zoom in on her face a little bit?
Let us choose.
They all look
there.
like that.
Look at she's pretty happy, right?
Yeah.
The
What do you
one on the
mean
left,
she, PBD?
the one on the left is a little bit. Yeah, you're right. The one on the left is a little bit concerned, but look at the one all the way to the right. She's worried. She may be like being nominated.
Yeah,
Go all the way to the right, Rob. Zoom out a little bit. Not that one. Look at that one. Look, she's like about to run off.
Yeah, she doesn't look happy.
Give me choice over my death. How much you think these guys got paid to just go out there and hold these signs up?
And it's just, by the way, this isn't New York. I believe this is Scotland.
Yeah, but no matter what it is, are these people going out there doing this because they support it? Are these guys doing it because they're getting paid? Question though, do you think, like, does anybody here have the thought of saying, I would support people being able to choose to take their lives? Adam, are you in a place of choice? Are you in a place of, no, we shouldn't make that available to everybody?
Well, look, I'm old enough to remember in the late 90s, there was a guy named Dr. Death, Dr. Jack Kevorkian.
Armenian, Pat?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know who played him in a movie?
Don't tell me, Al Pacino.
Al Pacino.
Great one.
Yeah.
Hooah!
And you could go in Rolling Stone magazine and you could buy his death machine, which was an IV kit. That's what Adam's talking about. Yeah.
So don't give people ideas. He's joking, folks. He's joking. But go ahead, keep going.
No, it's
Tom.
Kevorkian at the time.
Oh my God, Tom! Don't give him ideas. Those things you can still find those things on eBay. Go ahead.
I used to buy them and gift them to people.
Tom, go ahead, Adam.
No, Tom, keep going.
Your light's on, Adam.
Okay, my bad. Well, I remember this guy, Dr. Jack
Adam's
Kevorkian.
actually in the insurance industry. So
That's
that
true.
So go ahead, Adam.
I
The life settlement.
understand,
Go ahead. Yeah.
Well, life insurance should be called death insurance, but that's a whole
Used
other
to be called
conversation.
death insurance. They
Yeah?
changed it, yeah.
Yeah, because it's called marketing. Anyway, this guy was a super controversial figure because basically he was helping terminally ill people
Armenians
off themselves. And it was very controversial. I want to say that he was in fact convicted of I think murder, second-degree murder. Here, he's convicted of second-degree murder and served 8 years of a 10 to 25-year prison sentence. He was released on parole in June 2007 on a condition he would not offer advice or participate or be present in the act of any type of euthanasia or any other person that he talked about the procedure of assisted suicide. So apparently this is frowned upon, and it's not something that did, but it's such a dark, dreary, uncomfortable conversation.
I asked the question.
Like these people.
Here's the question I'm asking.
Yeah.
Are you at all for it?
Absolutely.
Is it a libertarian idea to say if somebody wants to take their lives, leave it to them? Vinny.
Well, how do you stop somebody? So here's can I answer this? So
I'm waiting.
if someone wants to kill themselves,
Yeah.
can they do that?
Anybody could.
No, they
Of
get
course.
arrested
It's
after they
murder.
kill
You're
themselves.
murdering
You go to jail.
yourself.
Exactly.
Right after you kill yourself, you
so
go
the
to
question
jail.
is the person who is helping to facilitate do that, are they convicted? So if someone says, no, I'm terminally ill, I don't want to live like this, rather than take a pill or God forbid shoot myself or hang myself, I want to go about this in a humane way.
Yeah, that's
I'm willing
normal.
to
They'll put
sign
in their trust and say,
okay,
if I'm getting close to dying and I'm a cabbage
let
or
me-
I'm a
Yeah, you can let me
vegetable,
go. Let me go.
go. Don't keep me alive for
Yes.
no
Yeah,
reason.
DNR,
Just let
do
me go.
not resuscitate.
So-
Okay, but that's assuming.
So
you think that
again,
the
let me go to
average
somebody
person
else.
has
I'll
a
come
will
back
or
to you.
trust.
Guys, do you think it's an idea that we should entertain?
No, and I'll tell you why.
Tell me.
God, Pat, we talk about Christianity. God doesn't make mistakes. Okay, if you're still breathing,
I've seen a bunch of mistakes.
If
God
you're
has made,
breathing,
buddy.
if you're breathing, you are here for a reason. I don't care how hard life gets. He doesn't give you more than you can handle. Period. End of story. You don't get to check out because it's hard. That's not dignity. That's called surrender. All right. The same way I feel about abortion. Umberto made a great point. All those people with that pink and all that stuff, pretty sure they're all for abortion. Okay. We don't get to decide when the life should end. Okay. That's God's job. It's not yours. Okay. Some people call it compassion. I call it playing God. And the last I checked, none of us qualify to be God. So God, let God do his thing. That's, to me, that's murder. You're killing somebody, just like a freaking abortion.
Vinny,
and you're helping them die.
I respect
You could
your
respect-
opinion here.
Yeah.
I think it's, and I'm not saying you, I hear it's such a cop-out to say it's all in God's hands. God doesn't make a mistake.
He
I would
doesn't make
never-
mistakes.
Okay.
God makes mistakes?
Well, then, you know what? Then humans certainly do.
Great point. Because humans
but
have
the point
evil
is,
in their
it's
heart.
It's such an easy, blatant answer
No,
to
it's
be
not.
like,
It's not easy.
God would never make a mistake.
No, he doesn't.
God would never do this.
Adam, because you're not are you a Christian? Do you believe in God?
No,
Do you go
I'm
to-
the original Christian, buddy. It's called Jewish.
Yeah, okay.
You follow our stuff.
Okay, but you believe
that's
Jesus Christ
irrelevant.
is the Savior.
But
No,
that-
you don't.
But that's
So
irrelevant.
that's a whole different conversation.
Here we go.
But the point is this.
So
It's such a cop-out to be like, God doesn't make mistakes. Blanket answer. We can't
think
even have a
that- so you
conversation
think
now
you-
because God
okay.
doesn't make mistakes.
Okay. He
So-
doesn't, Adam. You make mistakes. Human beings make mistakes. The devil gets in people and he makes them make mistakes. So when people go, oh, this baby in here, I'm going to kill it.
How are you
Or
so convinced of this?
I'm convinced 100% because I have something called faith, Adam. I
Well,
have faith.
If you actually define faith,
It's believing
it's
in
not
something.
100%.
No, I believe in faith because I've seen it. I've lived it, Adam.
No,
so for somebody to
but
say
faith, the definition of faith
No.
is not 100%.
No.
It's the uncertainty, but the belief. It's not 100%.
Adam,
the
Jesus-
actual definition of faith is that you cannot be 100% certain. That is the actual definition of faith, is that I think this is going to, I believe so much, but I'm not sure. So you use the term 100%, but you're not 100%.
Jesus-
That is literally why it's called faith.
you don't have faith
Let
in
me
God.
go to Tom first. Tom, tell me
Jesus
what
Christ
you
was
think
here,
about this.
Adam, and they wrote about it, and everybody proved it, that everything that he said happened. And out of all the religious leaders, Muhammad, Buddha, everything, you know what everybody wrote, and it's been proven, Adam, this is my faith, that Jesus Christ is the only one that died and came back to life.
He remixed
That's
it?
the guy.
He remixed
That's the guy.
it? Well, I want him to come back again
Well,
soon.
he will. He will, and it's not
one
going
of
to be
these
good.
days, guys.
It's not going to be
He
good for
will.
people that lack killing themselves and killing other people, Adam.
So let me ask you a
And when
question.
he,
If we're
when he
going to ask
shows
this,
up,
you know what I
Adam,
find?
when
You know what I
Jesus
find
shows up,
ridiculous?
I want you and I to be on the same page, and I don't know if you really understand how badly I want that in my heart.
Thank you.
Regardless of how we argue, regardless of the snide comments that you and I make to each other, I'm responsible for mine. I want you and I to be on the exact same page when Christ comes back, and he is coming back.
I have one question. When someone apologizes after being a scumbag, murderer, rapist, and they accept Jesus on their deathbed, do you think they should be resolved of their sins?
I love this question. If they
Murderer,
truly
child
Adam,
rapist,
Adam,
child rapist.
Okay, Adam,
Go ahead.
okay,
They accept Jesus
are
on
you
their
ready for
deathbed.
this? Are you ready for this?
Yeah.
If in their heart of heart, and I don't see it,
Yeah.
he does. Okay. If they do, then Adam, I'm sorry. Yes, it is. Just like the thief that was crucified next to Jesus Christ, where one of them was mocking him. One of them was mocking him, and he was saying, well, you're the Son of God. Take yourself off. Save yourself and save us.
We
The other
don't deserve it.
We don't deserve it. And he said, shame on you. He said, shame on you. He goes, he hasn't done nothing. We deserve it. And he turned to him, that guy, and on the cross said, Jesus Christ, forgive me and forgive me of my sins. And what did Jesus say to him?
I tell you the truth. Today you will be with me in paradise.
Boom. That's how it happened, Adam. And again, bro, it's in your
So
heart.
no matter
it's
how
not this.
disgusting of a person you are on earth,
Yep.
if you accept on your deathbed,
Not accept Jesus, Adam. You truly ask.
okay,
It's
so
in your heart.
it's
You're
all,
really,
all is forgiven,
and you believe.
I have a very big problem with that.
Yeah,
But go
because
ahead.
you know why? Because you're
Because I'm a
leaving- you're
Jewish, Tom.
No.
Go ahead.
No. It's
Go ahead,
because
Tom.
it's because you're human and you're still living with your desire for vengeance and consequence. And the ultimate
tried to
judgment
say-
No,
is
listen
not
to this.
us.
No, Adam, listen
The
to this.
ultimate judgment is not us. There's nothing wrong with what you're saying from a human logic perspective. And as a human, that is our logic. We have great pain in our heart, and there's nowhere to put it, but there's only one physician that cures the ultimate pain, and that's Jesus Christ.
Boom.
And so what you're feeling is normal. How can it be logical and fair for this person that did this to, it's not a get out of jail free card. If that faith is not sincere, if that call to Christ is not real, if that is not there, then the judgment will be passed on, and that's God's business, not my business.
Okay, can we get back to the question, Tom? Do you think there's anything about you here that thinks this story, because you circled it, that you wanted to talk about
Yep,
it.
I do. And I got
assisted dying bill moving forward. Do you think there's anything about it? Because I've asked this now 7 times. Anything about it where they should have the ability to do so?
Well, people have the ability to do so today. What I don't like is the word assisted and bill, because they're putting power into a law, and then these laws get used by countries and people the wrong way. I'm full of concern about how this law will be used in the future. There are people in this life that reach certain points and they want to tap out. That's not a decision I could ever make. If I'm not resuscitatable, I have a do not resuscitate. If I'm not resuscitatable and there's no brain activity, accident, illness, cancer in the future, don't use artificial machines to keep me going. And there's nothing going on and there's no brain activity. And they're like, look, we are powering him. If there's no machines, his brain and his cancer and everything are done and he's with the Lord. I might be, there's a great debate here, my soul might be with the Lord in the first place, you know? So I have a problem with assisted and bill. It's a law, and laws get used the wrong way by governments. To your question, that's what I don't like about it.
What do you think, Pat? How do you feel about it?
No, I think the libertarian position would be if somebody on this panel was a libertarian. We don't have a representative there. Rob, do you have a different position on this, or where are you at with this?
Compassion. If it's somebody that has ALS or an incurable disease and they're in pain, that's one thing. But if you're depressed and you have the blues and you want to go seek assisted dying, I don't approve of that at all.
So for you, it's based on what qualifies the individual to be able to have this assistant dying.
Yeah, if they're in medical pain and every day is torture for them to be alive, that's one thing. But if I see a lot of this overseas where it's depression. And this depression is, I can't beat it, I can't get through it. That's a different type of issue that could be solved through therapy, through medication, but there are diseases out there that there's no solving for.
Right, and by the way, if you think about it, this whole story with Jack Kevorkian, in 1998, Kevorkian was arrested and tried for his role in the voluntary euthanasia of a man named Thomas Yauk, who had Lou Gehrig disease, or ALS. He was convicted of second-degree murder, and then he gets whatever he gets to 10 to 25 years, that's 8 years on it, coming out with the fact that he would never speak to anybody else about it again. So that there is a libertarian faction that believes this ought to be the individual's choice to do whatever they want to do with their body. I'm a Christian. I don't subscribe to this at all whatsoever. But there is a community that says there is something to do here with it. And, you just have to hear their argument, what their argument is all about. For me, it's very simple, man. There's so many times in life where you're in a place where there seems to be no other reason to live. There's nothing to look forward to. You feel like you're the only person that's going through this challenge in time. And it's tough. It's painful. You feel alone. You feel everyone's turned against you. Could be an ugly divorce. Could be a loss of a loved one. Could be a career. Could be you screwed up with a business partner that you had and you did something so bad that you're probably not going to get that relationship ever back, and you lost 80% of people that were in your life because it was so tied to your career. No matter how shitty things may be, it's just not worth it. It's just not. And it always goes back to the time I interviewed this one guy who jumped off the bridge, and, they make it, and they said 100% of the people that they interviewed who made it in the San Francisco Bay Bridge who would jump off.
Suicidal.
The second they let go, that split second, 100% of them regretted letting go.
Oh, my goodness.
100% that when they let go, all they thought about is all the people they loved, the great memories in their lives, and they said, I wish I wouldn't have done it. And man. God gave them a second chance. In that cold ocean, the high, the drop, the bones, it feels like you're hitting a ton of bricks when you hit the water. So the point is, as you go through this, I think sometimes, you can also put certain thoughts in people's heads to think something is okay or worth it. I just want to, there's a reason why we have the brand Future Looks Bright, because we want to encourage the mindset of future's bright. Things are going to work itself out. Even when nothing was going wrong nothing was going right in my life, I'm like, dude, I don't know what. I got something to look forward to. By the way, something for you to think about. I don't have this for you. I just want to show you. I cannot wait to be able to show you what's in this Come September. This will be introduced in September. I cannot.
You should be on the side.
Oh, I don't even want to show it. Yeah.
Yeah, be
I
careful.
cannot wait to show you what's in this.
Machleta.
Yeah, I can't wait. And you know who we probably will introduce it to first?
Who?
The people in the PBD podcast circle.
Oh,
The
for
people that are
sure.
in there. And by the way, when it goes, it's going to go. So if you're not yet part of the circle to get today's notes, behind the scenes, many conversations and debates that continue with everybody that watches the podcast, go to PBD Podcast Circle, join it, network with others, put up the stories. There's a lot of debates that happens, a lot of different communication with them there. And so it's another way for us to stay in contact with each other throughout the week when there's not a podcast being done. Anyways, having said that, gang, have a great day. Have a great weekend. We'll do it again next week. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye, bye-bye.